What's up, everybody? It's your boy Justin from Justin Paul Sports. We are early this week. It's the Christmas holiday season. Santa is coming, as we all know. Hopefully, you've been more nice than naughty. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to go over all the Week 17 NFL games. We're doing this on Tuesday because tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Thursday, there are 3 Christmas Day games. And we got a full slate of NFL on Saturday. Well, not a full slate, 2 games on Saturday, a bunch on Sunday. So we thought we'd jump and get in front of the gun. I'm pretty sure most people are off work the next 2 days, so hopefully you tune in. I want to wish you guys a very Merry Christmas. And with that being said, I'm going to do a little promo real quick before we kick the show off. I just want you guys to know that along with NFL and college football, let me disclaim to YouTube that this is all for entertainment purposes only. But I want you all to check out a little bit of preview of what I got on sale this weekend. That's right, folks. Check me out, winnable.com/Justin Paul Sports. That's where I do all my capping, put majority of my plays. I got free plays up every single day, and I've got a few extras on there as well. You'd have to check out the site to get things going. But without further ado, let me bring on my co-host with the most from the great state of Mississippi, Bobby, from Bobby's Big Board. How are you, Bobby? I hope everything's better going on your side of the Mississippi River over there.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot of exciting things going on, especially the fantasy football playoffs. Hopefully, our viewers watching us made it to y'all's fantasy football championship. Most of the championship games for most fantasy football leagues are happening this coming weekend. So really excited about that. I made pretty much 30% of my league's fantasy football championship. So that's really good. Got CMC last night. That was epic. I really, really needed that. So needed 23 from him. He got me 29. So love that. But yeah, a lot of exciting football to come. Actually, you probably talked about it on the last show a little bit, but I do want to go over just briefly some of the college football matchups, since we had some of the college football playoff matchups happen this past weekend. Alabama came back. Great comeback win for them. Sheer will to win that game. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Great win for them. They match up against Indiana. We'll talk about all that in a minute. But yeah, excited to talk about football as always. Yeah, I want to get this thing rocking and rolling, man.
Yeah, it's great because this whole week, for a lot of people that are off work for the holiday week, yes, of course, you need to spend time with your family. My in-laws are in town, and enjoy them. Enjoy your kids opening Christmas gifts. Enjoy hanging out with your family. That's very important stuff. But to be fair, you want to know what's on TV, and quite frankly, Christmas music. Everybody kind of has Christmas fatigue with the music and the movies when it comes to about this time of the year. But there's a whole bunch of bowl games going on this week, and we've got our big ones coming up on January 1st and New Year's Eve for the playoffs that Bobby was mentioning earlier. And we got, like I said, the NFL has kind of sporadically spread everything out through this week. And that's kind of what we're going over. I mean, there is fantasy championships going on. I'm in a league where I was in the loser's bracket because I'm doing a full Dynasty rebuild. But the caveat is if you win the toilet bowl, you get a 1.13 in a 12-team league. So that means you get basically the last pick of the first round. And, excuse me, it's an independent IDP league. So I had one guy left I had Jermaine Pratt, and he missed it by 1 tackle. So if there's a stat correction, it can get really hairy, so we're waiting and seeing. But that was unfortunate. It's not what I was playing for. But it was definitely a full-on rebuild. So, but with that being said, let's go over the NFL stuff first.
You want to go over the NFL stuff first? Yeah, we can absolutely do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys just the schedule. Normally we have graphics up, but this is kind of a short-term show. I had a lot of stuff going on this weekend. So we have 3 Thursday games, right? Kicking it off with Dallas at Washington. That'll be a decent NFC matchup there. Detroit and Minnesota, divisional matchup. That's going to be extremely important for the Detroit Lions. There's a quarterback that's going to be starting for the Vikings, so I think it's going to be pretty hairy for them. Kansas City and Denver, this would have been a marquee matchup 3-4 weeks ago, but Kansas City out of the playoffs. Mahomes and Gardner Minshew both out for the season with knee injuries. Thankfully, Gardner Minshew saved his ACL and is intact, but still, he's not going to be playing anymore. So Chris Alucon is playing. Saturday, we got 2 matchups, Houston, LA, Baltimore at Green Bay. That's a big game for you guys at Lambeau. I mean, you guys should make the playoffs, and with how Baltimore's been playing, Lamar, even when he is on the field, very spotty performances over the past 5 weeks or so, honestly. Really surprising. But Sunday, obviously, that's the NFL day. You've got a ton of matchups here. And we ended off with Monday, Los Angeles going on the road to play Atlanta. They're trying to win the 1 seed. I don't think they can get the 1 seed, but I don't think so, right?
Yes,
they can win out and win the 1 seed?
Yeah, we'll go over all that as the things go along. We can go over the playoff projections as we go through these games. So, if you want to just go ahead and pull up the very first game on there, and we can kind of go over clinching scenarios. A lot of teams clinched yesterday with the Colts losing. I think 3 AFC teams officially clinched because of that. What a horrendous falling off the rails for the Colts. 8-2.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
It's just, the quarterback position is everything. Quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, I preach that till the cows come home. Yeah. But let's see how we start opening our gifts at 12 o'clock Eastern. That is 9 o'clock Pacific for all you early risers out on the west side. Thank you guys tuning in. So, whole lot of nothing to play for here, really. I like how the matchup predictor says that it's 56%. I mean, I think this has to go with, is Mariota going to play? His concussion protocol? Because he is in.
He should be fine. He should be fine. I don't know who would step up for them in Mariota's absence. I can check the depth chart real quick.
But if you look at the odds there, it opened at -3. It leapt all the way to a touchdown for the Cowboys. So a lot of huge money came in on Dallas immediately. And it's probably due to the uncertainty of the quarterback position. There was such a drastic drop-off from Mariota to, I don't even remember who was playing quarterback for him, and that's kind of exactly why.
Sam Hartman is the current third-string guy. If you remember him out of Notre Dame a few years back.
Yeah, but he didn't play on last week.
Oh, well, he's their third quarterback, apparently.
So let's talk about it. The Cowboys look at the over, still 50 points. So for me, if I'm taking a look at this game, what they're telling me is the Cowboys' defense is so atrocious that they're willing to give up points to a quarterback off the street, but yet score enough points against the Commanders to take 50 points here. The line I like on this game, and this is a little bit of a caveat. We usually do sides on Cover 2 Cash, but this is always a trajectory of an evolving show. We're doing this on a Tuesday. This is our first year doing all this stuff. We're going to start doing the show on Sundays before kickoff, but dude, like next week we'll have it Sunday 9 o'clock. Don't be late. All the games are on Sunday next week. But I'm taking the under here. I'm taking under 50. I don't know how you can get these two teams to be super hyped playing this game. You're going to see a lot of teams. Some players are going to be obviously fighting for their jobs, and you might see some breakout points there. The under did go down a point. Rightfully so. It's trending in the direction of the under. Give me the under on the Cowboys and the Commies here. What's your take?
I understand the over-under here because of how atrociously bad both of these defenses are. The Commanders are really bad, and I think the majority of this point total is basically the Cowboys, right? The Cowboys can really turn up the points on you really fast, and I do think the Cowboys, they're trying to maybe try and finish the season at 500. 8-1. There's 2 weeks left, so maybe they can finish 8-1 and just kind of have some momentum going into next season. But yeah, I mean, Dak's been playing lights out. I do think the Cowboys win this game pretty handedly, especially if Mariota's a little banged up. It was Josh Johnson, by the way, the guy who's played for every single team. He is their official backup. Sam Hartman's the practice squad guy. But let's go ahead and talk about these rosters a little bit. If you guys had Javonte Williams last weekend starting for you, probably a little mad at him. Gave you about 5.6 points. So I do think he's going to bounce back in a big way. I do think the Cowboys kind of run over the Commanders a little bit, and I think Javonte is going to get himself a decent amount of touches. No, he's got a neck injury going on right now, but I don't think it's going to be anything serious. So I think Javonte, Dak, CD, Pickens. Those are all pretty valid options. And honestly, the only guy that I feel okay about is maybe Terry McLaurin for the Commanders. Don't like the running back situation right now. No, Merritt leads the team right now, but he's been getting his touches limited by Chris Rodriguez, and I like Chris Rodriguez a little bit, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to give you consistent fantasy points. So absolutely, I'm siding with the Cowboys here. I think they're going to really pour on the points against the Washington Commanders, who I think are they've had a really atrocious season. And I want to tell you guys, if you guys are doing any Dynasty startups this coming year, it's Superflex, whatever, we saw Jaden Daniels go at like the 102, 103 in startups. If you're playing Superflex, of course. I have no shares of Jaden Daniels. I offloaded him every single league that I have because of the injury history. And honestly, the Cliff Kingsbury offense gets figured out every 2 years. Cliff Kingsbury will come out, have this new little game plan going on. And then the second year, same thing happened with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray couldn't get anything going because the offense was too predictable. Kind of like how the Kansas City Chiefs offense is as well. Just this quick screen game, almost like a college offense. You can't consistently do that and expect success. I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a severe regression. Fingers crossed, no more injuries, but I do think he's going to regress, and he's going to not be a top 5 pick in Dynasty startups. I would avoid Jaden Daniels if you're doing any startups.
That is a spicy take. I mean, but it makes sense. You got some logic behind that take for sure.
Yeah. But outside of that, just looking at the injury report, nothing crazy here. Mariota, he's got a hand injury. We'll see how he does. Sam Cosme's kind of a big, and Tunzel, they've both been a big reason why this run game, them being hurt, why this run game hasn't been very successful. But we can go ahead and get on to the next game here. A very, very important game for the Detroit Lions. I do think they're going to smash the Vikings here. I don't know how the Vikings are 7-8. Honestly, I have no clue. They feel like they have been awful all year. Max Brosmer is set to make his second NFL start. He came in last week versus I forget who they played last week, but J.J. McCarthy got hurt again, and Brosmer had to come in, and he looked all right. But in his first start, he looked genuinely horrific. I think the Lions are going to beat up on this Vikings team. I'm surprised that the spread's only 7.5 here. I'm going to go with 7.5 minus 7.5 for the Detroit Lions. What says you in this situation?
Well, if you take a look at the open, it was the Lions minus 3.5, and it took off again. So a lot of money came in on the Lions. I think that this is kind of fair. The Lions, despite losing the game to the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers giving a gift to Bears and Packer fans last week, Lions season is on life support. If they lose one more game, they're out. No matter what happens to any other team, because the Packers are the only other team. It's the Packers and the Lions for the 7 seed, essentially. And the Packers own the tiebreaker with the 2 wins, which I said would happen at the beginning of the year. I said they'd win week 1 and win on Thanksgiving. And there would be nothing more joyous to my black heart than to see the Detroit Lions absolutely stumble and fumble and bumble through this. But I'm going to take the Vikings. I like the 7.5 here. I think there might be a little money line sprinkle. Lions are frauds. He's right. I mean, I wouldn't say fully frauds. What happened to Detroit was some injuries in the secondary. Terrion Arnold's out. Kirby Joseph might not play football again based on the injury he's got. It depends how it heals from what I've been reading. But I do think that Minnesota's gonna go out there and give it everything they got. I think they got into a really good rhythm last week, even though McCarthy did play until he got that injury. I'm going to take the 7.5 here. I think that's a good play with the hook. The over-under has kind of dropped 5 points. They really don't expect the Vikings to score. But listen, neither one of these teams have elite defenses. The Lions have Aiden Hutchinson and a bunch of guys. Offensive line, the Lions are missing, Frank Ragnow retired. They never got rhythm on there. If I'm the Vikings, I'm going to make them do something besides Jahmyr Gibbs. I think St. Brown's banged up. Give me the Vikings and the points in this situation here.
So I do like a little bit of what the Detroit Lions have done defensively. I love Jack Campbell. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson's really good. But you're right. The secondary is a big problem. I do love the offense. I love how it plays. They can get big plays out of nowhere, can put up a lot of points, and you've seen it. You've seen what happens to the Lions offense if you just contain Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery posted a weird thing on Twitter today with his jersey. I don't know what's going on there. Is he retiring? We don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much on that. You know how NFL players like to mess with people every now and then. But I do think the Lions are going to win this game. They know it's a must-win. Max Brosmer is going to be making the start for the Vikings. I just don't see a path to victory for the Vikings. They don't have the best running attack with Jordan Mason. He's regressed heavily since last year. Aaron Jones has been a little bit better, but later on in the season, he always tends to break down a little bit. Amon-Ra St. Brown is dealing with some knee soreness. I think they're just kind of keeping him out of practice. He'll probably practice Thursday and Friday, and he'll be fine. Or he'll practice tomorrow and then Thursday probably. So we should be good there. He should be fine. He'll be ready to go. Goff. Look, over the past 4 years now, I don't know if there's anybody that's been more of a consistent quarterback than Jared Goff.
Nope.
What a great pickup. Because at the time when Goff got picked up from the Rams, he was considered kind of like a pseudo bust in a way. So really like what Jared Goff has done in his time during Detroit. He obviously has a lot of support because he's got Jameson Williams, who just surpassed 1,000 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown is obviously over 1,000 yards, 10-plus touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. He's got a great support system, and that's what you can see. If you have a quarterback that's smart like Jared Goff, you can really make some stuff happen if you have a supporting cast around him. So I think Jared Goff is going to be a guy that's going to get you at least 16, 17 points. I think he's a great start. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy, he hasn't had a great sophomore year thus far. More interceptions than touchdowns. Tough. He does have a good bit of rushing touchdowns, but do not start any Vikings quarterback. Brosmer is not the play. None of the Vikings running backs you want to go for. Obviously, Gibbs is a must start. Amon-Ra is a must start. And yeah, that's basically it. I think Jameson Williams, he's proved over the past 5-6 weeks now that he is consistent enough with his touches that he can be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for your team, and you won't be that mad about it. Now, I will say one thing. Justin Jefferson, at this point in time, is he startable? That is a very good question. I am facing that. You think so? With Max Brosmer throwing him the football.
I think with a full week of practice, right? Listen, the Vikings got nothing to lose. This is going to be one of those games where Detroit gets what I like to call a tight butthole, and they're going to be on edge with everything they want to do, and Minnesota can just let it rip. Kevin O'Connell can let the playbook rip. If the Vikings lose, all they do is get a better draft position, but they've definitely got an opportunity here to say, we're going to ruin the Detroit Lions season. I hope they do it. For this week only, I'm saying Skull, go out there and get them. Go out there and play that humongous horn that you play on third down, which does sound badass. I have to concede that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not the one that's like, I don't care for that one. But that big heavy bass, that's super badass. I'll get the Vikings.
It's really tough for me because the last time Max Brosmer went out there, he threw 4 picks and Justin Jefferson barely. I think he had 2 catches. Jefferson, in my opinion, one of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL. Some of the best wide receiver, just route running in general. Great hands. But, man, it's going to be tough. I have him in multiple Dynasty leagues where I'm in the championship right now, and I just have to figure out whether I want to play him or do I want to play a guy like Jalen Waddle with Quentin Ewers throwing to him. I think you have to lean towards the talent that is Justin Jefferson, so I think he's a fringe starter, but I would start him over a lot of guys that I normally wouldn't because Max Brosmer is out there. So
sure.
We'll go ahead and get on to the next game here. The Denver Broncos. I don't necessarily think they are surprising to see them at 12-3 on the year because they had a pretty surprising year last year, and they've only gotten better since then. 12-3 Denver Broncos going to Arrowhead. They announced that they will be moving away from Arrowhead to actually the state of Kansas, so they'll be moving away there, and they're going to be designing a loud stadium for the new fans in Kansas. But this game, like I said 3-4 weeks ago, would have been a very exciting game. because this is a divisional game, a divisional game with two really talented quarterbacks. But Mahomes is out, Gardner Minshew's out, Chris Oluokun, our practice squad quarterback, is going to be playing, and Denver Broncos basically at full strength, except a few people like J.K. Dobbins, and everyone else is pretty much healthy. So I do expect, the Chiefs lost 9-26, I think, to the Tennessee Titans, who might be the worst team in football. So the line being minus 13.5 here is pretty generous, I think. The Kansas City Chiefs have a great defense, but they are very deflated because, they're a team that used to being in the playoffs. They actually haven't missed an AFC championship while Mahomes has been under center. So this is a really deflated game, a very deflated football team. I think the Denver Broncos can beat them by probably multiple touchdowns here. 13.5. I'm going to go Denver Broncos minus 13.5 here because the offense is basically just torched without Patrick Mahomes under center. You can tell that in the play calling. So, I like the Denver Broncos here.
Again, we look at the open here. Minus 5.5 jumped all the way to 13.5. That's definitely a quarterback situation. If Gardner Minshew was playing, that line would not be that high. We're getting a quarterback making their first start at home against a team that's trying to secure the number 1 seed. So Denver's going to be playing with full force. They want to stick it. They want to stick it to the Chiefs and give them their 10th loss of the season, which nobody saw that coming. I didn't think they'd lose that many games. I did say in our NFL season preview that I did think Kansas City might miss the playoffs. Just like I was right about Texas potentially losing 4 games, these kind of things happen. It's so hard to stay at the top. When you're at the top, it's such a grind to just constantly be winning and constantly do these things. When you rise from the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. It's actually easier than maintaining this excellence. I mean, you just said to yourself, this quarterback's been playing for the AFC Championship every season he's been in the NFL. That's unprecedented. That will not happen again. That will not happen again for his first, X amount of years. But I think the Chiefs, I don't think they're looking to the offseason here. I don't know how they're going to feel about effort. I'm going to take the 13.5 at home in this one here. I think it's a lot of points, but it's a lot of unknown, and that's why the line's so high. I think the Chiefs might try and slow the game down. It might, Denver might maybe get a little comfortable, and just this feels like a backdoor game. The under's at 36. That's basically saying it's going to be, 20-17 is what you need to cover the under. Maybe the over might be the play here. They dropped 3 points. I think they could beat 36.5. I think you can get each team to get, Denver might put 36 up alone. You just don't know. But I trust Kansas City to keep it close enough to where it's 13.5. They've got integrity. They got pride. They want to play to win. And, you mentioned that deal of going to Kansas. The deal is atrocious for the state of Kansas. They're giving the Chiefs all these tax breaks and basically getting nothing in return for revenue. It's one of the most lopsided deals as far as the stadium goes. I mean, Missouri loses it all, but Kansas gets nothing, and the Chiefs get to keep everything. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, I'll take it, man. I am a Chiefs fan, so I do want to pivot here to the draft because I know you said they're not looking at the offseason. I'm really excited because
what's the current draft order? Hold up.
I think they're currently the 14th pick now. So a running back's definitely there. I don't think the Chiefs are necessarily going to go running back here just because of how many running backs will be in free agency next year. And on top of that, you can get a talented running back. I mean, we saw Pacheco go in the 6th round or the 5th round out of Rutgers. We've seen guys super talented go in the 5th round and later. Look at Kyle Monungai. He was a 5th round draft choice, and he's also out of Rutgers. There are guys out there that you don't want to. I know we talk about premium running backs. You want to pay them. Well, right. I completely agree with that. But when you can take a premium position, because running back is not a premium position, you can get production, but an edge rusher, productive edge rusher, I don't think we need wide receiver, but an offensive lineman. We really badly need a left tackle or another tackle that's a right tackle, because Jawan Taylor is just
Getting
He makes
cooked.
me really angry. He's a good pass protector, but he
Yeah.
angers me with how penalized he
From
gets. He
home,
kills a
like,
lot of
oh.
drives. So I think we're going to go offensive line, perhaps a guard maybe, or we'll go another edge rusher. We keep trying these edge rushers, and it just doesn't end up working out. We didn't have one hit since George Karlaftis, so we'll see. I don't think that they're going to go Jeremiah Love, though, with the 14th pick. I know that's what everybody's saying, but I think Bo Nix is an easy start here. I think RJ Harvey, I know you're not super big into him, but he has been scoring touchdowns like nobody's business, and he's getting pretty much all the carries. Kareem Hunt is basically not getting any carries at all. Travis Kelce, I thought he'd actually get a bunch of dump offs with Gardner Minshew. He had 1 catch on 4 targets. So I don't know if he's even startable. You're probably going to start him anyways. But Cortland Sutton, I think, is a great start. Evan Ingram, I wouldn't start. That's basically it. I mean, there's not a lot of people I would start in this game. Probably Bo Nix and RJ Harvey and Cortland Sutton. And then I don't think there's anybody on the Chiefs that you'd want right now. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next game here. Another pretty important game here. The Houston Texans 10-5. They're kind of having themselves a decent year with how good their defense has been playing. We're going on the road to play the Los Angeles Chargers, who are, trying to patch this season together, finish it on a high note. They're 11-4. Really close game here. The Chargers at home are -2.5-point favorites. This is interesting, man, because Justin Herbert, he's always banged up around this time of year. He's been hit more than any quarterback in the NFL. But this Texans offense just is not clicking. It hasn't clicked all year. They've been kept in it by just really good defense play. Who needs an offense when you can have a defense scoring you all the points? But I do like the Texans here, +2.5, because of the pressures that they get on the quarterback. Obviously, Chargers, both of their tackles are out. They have a ton of offensive line injuries, and Herbert isn't fully healthy. So I think the Texans can sneak away with the win here.
I think the Texans' money line is the play at 114. That's a decent value based on that, even though we use cut. But nonetheless, 114 on a team that going on the road, you see they opened as 1.5-point favorites. The line swung all the way to the other side, and grabbing 2.5 is a nice play as well. Depends how much chalk you want to lay. I like the Texans. I love that defense. I think, like I've said, I think they're a potential AFC champion because of the defense. You can win in the NFL if you've got an elite defense shutting down this offense. I mean, this game now, the NFL now is not what it was. It used to be a very physical football game where you'd have wide receivers that were absolute beasts running across the middle of the football field. And now they leave us so wide open with zone defense. No wonder they dink and dunk it all day. You don't have to – There's no secondary coming up to make those big hits because all the penalties, all the flags, all those ridiculous calls that fans hate, but the NFL's like, we got to have player safety. It's football. It's a man's game. It's not – you want to do something that's not football, go work at the bank, brother. Like, this game's not for everybody. I'm pretty assertive on that point. Like, it's not for everybody. It's for the toughest. It's for the most willing to just lay it all out there. And, we've seen player injuries and stuff like that, and, of course, it's not what we want. But in the 1990s and the early 2000s, even with Ray Lewis would able to lay you out. You would not go in the middle of the football field because you'd get jacked up. Now it's all soft, and all these teams are going indoors. It's one thing that stinks about the NFL and all these penalties. Like, I know I'm getting off course here, but we're like, when Jordan Love took that hit last week, like, you're a defensive player, heads are going to collide. That's why you wear the helmet. Yep. There's a difference between incidental collision and obvious, like a face mask needs to be called. Okay?
Absolutely.
And if you launch, so what? Move. Like, that's your job, is to get out of the way. It hinders the defense and it ruins the sport. It just does. But I like the Texans defense. I love their linebacking core. The secondary is elite. Their pass rush is fantastic. Like, this is a team, man. If all they got to do is run the football, and they whether it's Nick Chubb or Woody Marks or whatever they're going to do, and they've got Nico Collins. Like, it's hard for me to pick against them. Give me the Texans. Give me the money line, and I'm not the biggest Jim Harbaugh guy. I don't like that guy, so I don't want him to win football games. I'll go with that as well. That's just icing on the cake. That doesn't hinder my picks. I'm just saying, Give me the Texans
Absolutely.
against that former Michigan cheating coach.
So I do want to talk about CJ Stroud. I was never a big CJ Stroud guy. I thought CJ Stroud, he just even as a rookie, he didn't throw a lot of interceptions, had the 4,000-yard season, but I was just never wowed with him, especially from a fantasy football. I'm saying this in the fantasy football space. I was never wowed with him. Obviously, I think he's a good, accurate game managing quarterback, but this
Yep.
year he just hasn't been very efficient with the play calls. Right? I do think CJ Stroud is not a start pretty much in any situation. I think he's a QB3 in my opinion. He's a good QB3 to have. He's young. He's going to be the franchise guy for a while. The run game, I do like Woody Marks, but he's banged up, so we'll see how long he's out for. But I do like Nico Collins. He always tends to get a 40, 50-yard bomb, and he's a guy that they do like to get the ball to under at the, right at the line of scrimmage sometimes as well. So he will get his targets and his catches. Obviously, you see him at over 1,000 yards on the season. Another guy I like a ton is Jalen Noel. He hasn't really been super fantasy relevant this year, but it's a guy that once Christian Kirk is gone, which I don't think he's a long-term guy whatsoever. I don't even know if he's going to be there next year. I do love Jalen Noel. Not a big Jaden Higgins guy. I know they both went to Iowa State, but I loved Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. For the Chargers, I think Justin Herbert versus this defense might not be a great start. I think he's a QB2. Just because Justin Herbert in this defense, you've seen him. You see he's thrown 12 interceptions on the year. He's had a couple of dud games this year. And I think with the tackle play being gone, you're playing your backup tackles. You've got guys like Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson just bearing down on you, and Herbert's already been hit a ton. I'm staying away from Herbert. I don't want him to exit the game early, but it's one of those games where I'm afraid I don't know if he'll make it through this game. Hampton, I would probably start even against this front just because we know he's going to get the targets. Ladd McConkey is shown to be one of the safest options past like week 4, week 5. He had a really slow start and then started picking it up down the year. So I think Ladd McConkey's a guy that you could start and get at least 10, 12 points out of. And outside of that, I mean, you see the injuries, right? You got Derek Stingley Jr. questionable. Kamani Vidal, he's more of a role player at this point. I know he's earned his touches. And Dalton Schultz is actually, I think he's the tight end 5 right now. Surprising season from him. So I might start him as well on my tight end slot, even though this LA Chargers defense is decent. So we'll go ahead and get on to the next game. I know you're excited to talk about this one. The 7-8 Baltimore Ravens. What a terrible year that they've had considering this roster and the expectations. I mean, before the season started, I thought the Ravens would for sure be up there in the AFC Championship conversation. Well, Lamar Jackson gets hurt, and when he's been playing, before he got hurt, he was playing, pretty well. Even though they were losing football games, he was playing well. After he came back from the injury, he has just been very, very underwhelming from his normal performances, in years past. He's been very under the bar of what he usually sets. They're going on the road to Lambeau Field to play the Packers, and the Packers, this is a must-win for them. With all of that on the line, the Packers are minus 2.5 point favorites. I do like the home field advantage. I think the Ravens are very much they're out of the playoff race, I think.
No.
They're not?
No.
They got to win out, though.
Yes, and they need help.
They do need help, and I don't know if Lamar's fully healthy. They said a significant contusion in his back. So we'll see if he suits up. I mean, he's got a few more days, obviously, to recover. If not, you're going to have Snoop Huntley playing, and we saw what that offense did. I mean, they made it competitive against the Patriots with him on the field, but Snoop Huntley is not a guy that you're going to want to start consistently to win you a lot of football games. So I think this is a Green Bay Packers win, and I think it eliminates the Baltimore Ravens from the playoffs. So I'm going to go minus 2.5 for the Packers.
A couple things here. So the Packers' schedule down the stretch has been pretty tough the last few weeks. I mean, and they've had some devastating injuries, losing Devontae Wyatt, losing Micah Parsons. And their secondary has been a little bit slowed down. I will say, last week they had to have such a epic collapse of so many things to proportions for them to lose that game. Losing Jordan Love to the injury, the special teams blunder, the fumble in overtime, Josh Jacobs fumble. Like the Packers went 0-5 in the red zone. Special teams have hindered this team in 3 losses of the season. They had the block field goal against the Browns, and the Browns did the same shit that the Bears did. They were losing the whole game, getting dominated the whole game. The Packers were dominating the Bears the whole game, folks. Caleb Williams was under 50% with no touchdowns until that onside kick. And, you have to factor in the human element when it comes to football. And there's trauma for Packers fans with onside kicks. If you go back to the 2014 NFC Championship game with Brian Bostic. And, they blew that game against Seattle because of special teams play and, the secondary getting blown up. But that's neither here nor there. The probability of the Packers making the playoffs is 94%. The only way they don't get in is if they lose the next 2 and the Lions win the next 2. That's the only way that they're out. But what I think is going to happen is this is a Baltimore team that is on life support. But I think that the Packers they're going to clinch their playoff spot here because they need just one of 4 things to happen. Just win one and you're in. Yeah. If the Bears lose, we'll get to the Bears game later. If the Bears lose out and the Packers win out, then the Packers will win the division. So the NFC North is still in play as far as that goes. But just clinching a playoff spot, winning this game in Lambeau, that would be a great home send-off for the season because next week's game's in Minnesota. So this is the last game in Lambeau. I think that the Packers are going to use a lot of Emmanuel Wilson. We lost another tight end, so they're going to have to elevate somebody, figure something out. The team is really reeling from injuries, but I still think that they're better than the Baltimore Ravens, who just can't seem to get nothing together this season. Yeah. I wonder if there's turmoil in the locker room. Zay Flowers has gone completely absent. It's just been downtrending. They don't throw the ball to my boy Rashad Bateman. That's what you get. Give me the Packers to win by a field goal.
So, fun fact, I saw that Zay Flowers did make a Pro Bowl. He does have over 1,000 yards on the year. He had a big game last week versus the Patriots, but yeah, I mean, you see the numbers from Lamar, not terrible. 2,300 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 picks. But, I mean, we've seen him last year. He threw less picks than this and 40 touchdowns. So, I mean.
He's also missed games.
He's missed a ton of games, but when he's played, he's been underwhelming compared to what he's done in the past. So, if he plays, I think Lamar is always worth a start. He's one of the best fantasy football quarterbacks of all time. So I do think he's worth a start versus Green Bay because of the stakes that are here. Because they need to win out and get a little bit of help to make the playoffs, and I know they want to try to make the playoffs. Derrick Henry, I think he's obviously worth a start as well. I think this is going to be a gritty game on both sides. I think could be the
couple Bama backs, couple Bama boys in the backfield for both these teams. Yeah, that's how you do it, America.
So I like Derrick Henry as a start. Zay Flowers, man, he could literally get you 8 points, and you would not be surprised at all. I do think he's worth it as a flex option if you don't have anybody better. Jordan Love, he should play, right? He should clear concussion protocol. Is that what we're thinking?
Both the quarterbacks are questionable, so we'll see. When he was off the field, he looked pretty healthy. You can tell, like, sometimes these guys got scrambled eggs when they get hit, or you can tell if it's just like a precautionary measure. I think he's just in the protocol. I think he's going to start. But even if he doesn't start and it's Malik Willis who starts, I think that that's enough of a threat to, anybody. Malik Willis has been an amazing backup for this team. He might get an opportunity somewhere else next season.
I think he might.
Hey, there are teams that need quarterbacks. It's just that simple. Yeah. What do they got going on in some of these other, like New Orleans? New Orleans could sign him. But I don't think they're going to.
I think Tyler Shuck. He's done enough the past 3 weeks with the 3 wins in a row to where I think they're like, all right, we're going to go with this guy. I think it's a mistake because I'm not a big Tyler Shuck guy, but he is making some good throws here and there, so we'll definitely see. But let's talk about Josh Jacobs real quick. So I know they asked LaFleur about why they didn't play him as much after he fumbled. And I know he had some knee issues in practice, and he was limited. And then, obviously, the fumble happened. They were just like, man, Emmanuel Wilson was cooking. So we just let him keep
Sometimes
running, right? And I'm like, hey, that's completely valid. I do think Josh Jacobs is the best back on this team, and I do think he's going to get another opportunity to go out there and show that against the Baltimore Ravens. So I do think Josh Jacobs, as long as he doesn't fumble, he's not a fumble type of back. I think
he
that
did
was an
last
anomaly.
week.
Yeah, I think that was an anomaly. I think Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs both have. I mean, I know Derrick Henry's had some fumbles, but it's just the fumbles have not gone the Ravens' way. That's why they're so magnified. So I do think Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry are both going to get a significant volume this coming week. I think the Packers really need this win, and they're going to have their best players out on the field.
I will say this: if Josh Jacobs, if the Packers clinch, I think Josh Jacobs sits next week.
Absolutely.
I think you're going to sit him for the playoff game. I think the Packers will get the 7 seed. All right, write this down. If the Bears get the 1 seed, which is very possible because they got the tiebreakers over the Rams, they need Seattle to lose. But if the Bears clinch the 1 seed and get that bye, and the Packers get that 7 seed, they get that road victory, folks, in the divisional round, we will see Green Bay go to Chicago, beat the Bears, and play for the NFC Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what I say will unquestionably happen if it goes that way.
So we'll talk about the Packers receivers real quick. Matthew Golden having himself a really rough year. I expected that, not because I wasn't a big Matthew Golden guy. I didn't think he was worth a first-round pick. He was my wide receiver like 8 or 9 in the class. I had him a lot lower. Didn't think he really ran to speed on his film. I talk about that on my channel if you guys want to go back and fact-check me. But I don't think any of the I'm excited, man. I'll do a quick pivot after I talk about the wide receivers for the Packers. I think there are a lot of talented guys. I think Christian Watson's super talented. I think Romeo Doubs is talented. Dontavian Wicks is a great possession wide receiver. They just don't consistently target the same guys. They have so many guys. It's a crowded backfield of a lot of like 2s and 3s that no one's really stepped up outside of Christian Watson. And he hasn't really done anything the past 2 weeks that's deemed fantasy relevant. I think Christian Watson's the only guy I would start out of this receiving core, and I wouldn't feel great about it because he could get you 2 points and you would not be surprised. But I do want to say, I was going to say this earlier, but next week I'm not super excited about football being over, but what I am excited about, once football is over and I can steer my attention away from the NFL, I'm going to be doing so much film watching and getting my rankings for the rookies next year for this next year's draft class. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I've already sneak peeked a lot of the quarterbacks, so I'm going to take a deep dive into that. I'm super excited about that. So expect some rookie breakdowns, 2026 draftee breakdowns coming in the very near future. But here is another game that doesn't really mean much to either team, but I do think both of these teams are going to be playing to win, of course. The Arizona Cardinals going to OH playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Bengals played a really good football game last week. Cardinals didn't. Offense was struggling a decent amount outside of that Michael Wilson touchdown. We'll talk about him in a moment. But -7 for the Cincinnati Bengals at home. The Cardinals, man, they're such an interesting team because they've been so close to winning so many games. They could easily have 8 wins right now, and I wouldn't question it at all. But they just haven't had any of the wins go their way. The offense has been pretty impressive with Jacoby Brissett under center. Last week was the first game Jacoby Brissett's had under 20 fantasy points, which is insane because he's got like 8 starts now. So love what Jacoby Brissett's done for this team. He probably gets a bridge option elsewhere after this year. Actually, they have him on contract next year as well. So he may start for whoever they bring in at quarterback. Obviously, I don't think Kyler is going to be a Cardinal next season. So at the end of the day, I think Bengals win this game, but I think the Cardinals are going to keep it close and interesting. So I'm going to go +7 Cardinals.
I think that Jonathan Gannon's going to get fired. I do. Like, I thought about this, and I was like, they've got good players on this football team.
Absolutely.
They got Trey McBride, who's tight end 1. He's tight end 1. It's not Kittle, it's him. Trey McBride is tight end 1. Marvin Harrison's missed a bunch of games. Kyler Murray has missed a bunch of games. They've got good players on defense, in my opinion. I mean, they missed when they drafted was it that Max Moon or whatever his name was, and instead, they could have picked Cooper DeJean, and they traded down. So they've had their hits and their misses. They need to get some defense going on there, and they need to do something with that quarterback. I agree with you. I think somebody's going to take the bait and buy Kyler and give the the Cardinals a plethora of picks here. I think they've quit on the coach. I think they've quit on him. I think morale's way down in there quietly. I think the GM is really good, though. I like Monty Osfort.
I really like the GM, too.
I think he's drafted really well, but they are just not buying into him. Like, it feels like they're going to lose the rest of their games. They're going to finish with 14 losses. And there really isn't a whole lot of, trajectory to show that there's upside for next season. We can put all the statistics we want on Jacoby Brissett, throwing all these touchdowns and this and that, but the Cardinals fans are tired of losing. They're sick of it, man. They're sick of Kyler. They're sick of all this stuff. But I think that they can trade Kyler Murray to the Jets. The Jets have 6 first-round picks, right? That's your ideal destination for him. And get yourself a quarterback in the draft. Get yourself Ty Simpson. I would love to see Ty Simpson come down here. Right? And just run the offense or let Jacoby Brissett play next season with a new coach. Get the coach before you pick the quarterback. That's my only rule. Don't draft the quarterback like they did with Caleb Williams and then get the coach. I don't believe in that philosophy. You're going to do
It's worked out for the Bears, though. It has this far.
Give it. Word. You ever watch horse racing and there's 4 legs? Yeah. Right? You're coming around the home stretch now. So, are you going to be able to maintain that lead, or are you going to peter out and have a few other more experienced, faster thoroughbreds that are proven winners to pass this young stuff? But nonetheless, I'm taking Joe Burrow here. I think that they beat tar out of Arizona. I do. I don't think Arizona's got any pride, not because the players don't. I just think that they've had it. 3 seasons of this guy. There hasn't been steady improvement. The whole Kyler saga. Yeah. I think you might see Michael Bildwell. I think he's sick of it as well. So give me the Bengals to cover. One of my favorite plays.
I want to go ahead and speak to some of the things that you spoke to. So the draft, I think the Cardinals have got extremely unlucky with injuries. Walter Nolan, when he's been on the field this year, obviously he started the year on IR, played a few games, looked incredible, and then obviously goes down last week. His season is definitely over. Then you had Johnson out of Michigan, the corner. Super talented guy. Really liked him as well. Loved that pick. I thought he was a top 10 player in the draft, and he fell to the second round. So, love the picks that they've came up with here lately. But yeah, I think the Kyler situation. I don't know if the Jets trade for Kyler because they did the whole smaller quarterback that runs around this year, and it did not work out whatsoever. Justin Fields, obviously, I think Kyler. Well, they're similar types of. They're a similar quarterback. I think Kyler is better than Justin Fields, but I think that I think you said Ty Simpson. I think Ty Simpson's a New York Jet. That's what I think. I think they want to go with a guy that's pocket-driven a lot. I know it's not going to work out for Ty Simpson if so, but I do think they're going to get a guy like a Mendoza or somebody like that in the draft and then possibly get let's say, a Malik Willis or another type of veteran quarterback to basically play ahead of the rookie and see how that goes. Similarly to how Jacoby Brissett filled in for Drake May in New England. But yeah, I think the Bengals are going to smash them. But I did say they're going to keep it close enough. So I do think Arizona covers. We'll see. All right, next game here. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. So Pittsburgh Steelers, 9-6 record. They've been kind of mediocre, though, through these wins. The offense hasn't been great. The defense has been okay. They're kind of middle in the pack of both of those. Cleveland Browns, Shadur has not been very good. I told you guys he wasn't going to be very good. I don't want to do victory laps because I like Shooter. I do. I do like him. I think he's a young guy that got thrown into a situation, and he's been a lot better in the media than people would want to admit. I think he's not as bad and cocky as people say he is, but I never thought he was a good quarterback. And that's shown to be true, that people are making any excuse for him to be bad. I don't know why, but Shadur is not a good quarterback. I thought Gabriel is a better quarterback, but I don't think Gabriel and Shadur are long-term options. I think they're both backups in the NFL. I think Shadur was always Teddy Bridgewater, and I thought Dylan Gabriel was always Case Keenum. I thought that's who these guys were. And so far, that's been what's going on. We'll see. Shadur Sanders has more interceptions than touchdowns. I'm staying away from him in fantasy at all costs. But you see the lines here. I do want to talk about one more thing with the Browns, but I do like the Pittsburgh Steelers -3 here, even though they're going on the road. I think this is a good win for the Steelers to get a 10-win season here. But come on now, what's his name? Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I think he gets the record. Look, Aaron Rodgers, I love what he did, beating the Lions and setting the stage for the Packers. So I think the Packers return the favor by beating the Ravens, and then the Steelers clinch in Cleveland. So everything that like the AFC North hates about the Steelers goes right for them this week. I think the Steelers clinch the AFC North. I do think Shadur Sanders has a decent game though against that Steelers defense. Isn't exactly world class. Yeah, I do. I think he's going to find some guys open. I think you might see Isaiah Bond break a couple things open.
He's had a couple big catches.
I'll say this too. I think with Cleveland, this is a situation like Arizona where they've drafted well. However, Stefanski's been to the playoffs twice. Yep. And the biggest Achilles heel for this team has been Deshaun Watson. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I know he's on the hook for one more season. I think that you're going to see Dylan Gabriel or Shadur Sanders practice squad cut. One of those guys is going to be gone. Yep. And I think that they're going to start Deshaun Watson next season. And I think that they pick high enough to get themselves a quarterback in this draft. Either, like you said, a Mendoza or a Ty Simpson or whatever.
A guy out of Oregon.
I don't know if he's declaring. Is he declaring?
I would say so. I mean, he's had a good enough season to where I think he'll be a first-round guy.
But nonetheless, and the Browns have Quinshon Judkins will be back next year.
Yep.
They need a receiver, and they need a quarterback. The rest of that team is pretty solid, man. Like, they're just great defensive front, great linebackers, great players in the secondary.
They drafted their asses off, man.
Yeah, and I think that the future's bright there. I know Browns fans are tired of hearing that crap, but for somebody who's not a Browns fan, that's kind of what I see there. I think Myles Garrett gets a sack record this week, and that would be like the highlight for them. And he's still under contract, so I think that Deshaun Watson will start next year, and I think that I will say the hot, spicy, super hot take going on with me on this one here. So let me just go ahead and get some going on. I think Deshaun Watson comes out next season and he plays good football. I think that you get to a certain age and a maturity level, and with all his nonsense since he's got there, and the Achilles and the adult film stars, and just the whole like all of it. I think that we saw, and I could be a victim of propaganda, but I think we saw a guy who's ready to just say, I'm really ready to focus on football here. I know I'm probably on my way out, and goes out there and has nothing to lose and has a decent season. They'll have a defense, and if they start winning football games, let's say the Browns start 3-0 next year. I don't even know the schedule. Let's just say they start at 3-0 with him at quarterback. All will be forgiven. Like I'm telling you, people have short memories.
Fans will forget, man, especially if you play good. They don't care what's happening.
They don't care. Like, if you start winning football games, they will not care about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the Browns management will have at least a little bit of redemption for the thing. And, I think after this year they can cut him, or if he plays elite, you can do the Green Bay Packers method and just have your rookie sit again. If he balls out. Now, that's a long shot to happen. We saw with Jordan Love, how it benefits quarterbacks. I don't like when quarterbacks are out there at first round and have to take the field right away because I think he could really do some damage like Zach.
You got to have a
Wilson.
specific mindset, right? I think Cam Ward has that mindset. We'll talk about the Titans in a minute. But, I mean, there's certain quarterbacks that you go out there and you don't succeed and you get beat up and you throw picks and you make mistakes. You saw that from, like, guys like Josh Rosen, right? A guy that, super smart, really, really good quarterback. I thought he was great at UCLA. I thought he had a lot of upside, but he goes out there, struggles, and he never could mentally overcome that, I don't think. And, I mean, there's quarterbacks that just get thrown into the fire out of nowhere. They have that big confidence, big ego, and then it gets shattered, and then all of a sudden you can't recover. And I think that's what happened to Rosen. But guys like Cam Ward, you have to have a certain type of person that can just get thrown to the fire out of nowhere and actually succeed. And I don't know if there's any quarterback in the draft, maybe Mendoza, who could overcome something like that. But we'll go ahead and look at the start sets. I don't know. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he hadn't had a great season, but I mean, he's a fine game manager quarterback. I wouldn't start him against the Browns defense at all. Jaylen Warren, he's getting the touches, so yeah, might as well at this point. DK, what a weird situation. I think the fan said something to him. There's video evidence saying that he didn't say what DK said he said.
And we're getting tired of that. I'm going to cut you off. I'm tired of it. Look, he deserves to lose his money. He lost $40 million in guarantees for screwing with a fan. You need to be mentally sound and just be able to hear it and not engage with the fans and prove it with your field
always had that problem.
As we're winning the football game and you went out there and showed your ass. I hope DK loses all his money because of it. I don't care. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you going and smacking a fan in the stand. You walked over to him and assaulted the fan. The fan didn't jump the rail. That's different. You walked over to him and slapped him. You're on camera. If I'm the Steelers, I'm voiding all that warranty. He shouldn't get any more guarantees on this contract. You should have to earn your way back. As far as I'm concerned, you should be suspended for a year. You can't be messing with fans.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, even though if the fan, who knows what the fan said, I think the video has something. But even if he does call you the worst of the worst, I mean, you got to be intelligent enough to just be like, hey, I can't hit this guy because I'm going to get suspended. And I'm going to lose out on money. And I think he got lucky that he only had 2 games. I think that's really generous because he gets to play the playoffs. So
it's like the same thing. Like there's like a tact, right? For example, the 49ers game last night. Did you see what Juwan Jennings did?
I didn't. I watched that game.
Scores a touchdown, right? Takes the ball, goes to a fan, and takes it away from her. That's a little far for me because you walk to them. You know what I mean? But
it's a little bit of banter. I think it's fine.
A little bit, but I don't like going to the crowd. I think that you kind of stay on the field of play. You know, you can antagonize them from the end zone. I'm okay with that. But when you get real close to them, these people have been drinking, and you're setting yourself up. I mean, but let's be real. Juwan Jennings went to Tennessee, so there's not a lot of eggs in the basket up here. You know what I mean? You're just always going to be second-tier brain, going to a third-tier school. And from what I understand, he talks a lot of smack anyway. The league players.
He definitely does. He definitely does.
And you ain't good enough to be talking all that smack, bruh. So I hope Juwan Jennings sees this, and you ain't worth all that, buddy. You're only wide receiver 1 because Debo's gone, Ayuk's gone, and Kittle's better. So let's just be real. You're a tag along, Juwan Jennings.
I do love his hands, though. I think Juwan Jennings has some really good hands. I just don't think he's that great of an athlete at this point. Yeah. But we'll talk about the Browns real quick. So Shedeur Sanders, definitely don't start him. I think the Steelers defense is decent enough to where he's not going to have a great game. Losing Judkins is a big, big time loss. Hopefully he can recover and be ready by the beginning of the year next season. I don't know. That was bad, man. It hurts me because Judkins was really having a decent year. You see over 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. He kind of cooled down a little bit the past few weeks, but he led all rookies. I think Genty now this week leads all rookies in rushing yards now. But Harold Fannin Jr., my tight end too, only behind Tyler Warren. He's had a great year. I think he's worth a start absolutely in your tight end slot. I would start him even in the flex spot just because he's getting the targets every single week. Myles Garrett, hopefully he can break the sack record. That would be awesome. And to do it in 16 games, or no, this is week 17. To do it in 17 games just to be like, hey, I broke it without the extra game, that would be kind of cool. But Schweschinger, their second-round pick, massive favorite to be the defensive rookie of the year. He's been amazing, making plays all over the place. He is just a ball hawk at the linebacker position. Really glad that they drafted his kid. I liked his tape a lot. I'm not a big defensive guy, just to say that. I'm more fantasy football skill position oriented, but that I liked his tape a lot. We'll go ahead and get into the next game. Man, this is going to be a tough game because the Titans are coming off a really good win. The Saints are coming off a 3-win streak right now, which is interesting to me because, I'm happy. I'm happy when bad teams aren't just like, hey, we're just going to be bad to get a better pick. They're out there trying to win the game every single week, and the Saints are absolutely trying to do that. The Saints, they're going on the road to the Tennessee Titans. They're minus 2.5-point favorites. I think that's fair because the Saints, they do have a better roster, in my opinion. I think it's more complete on defense specifically. But yeah, the Titans, they had a great win last week. The defense looks good versus a really mediocre Chiefs offense. But I do like the Saints minus 2.5 here.
I think that the Titans win at home again. I'm just going to say that, listen, there's really not a whole lot to analyze as far as what these teams are able to do besides be lousy, right? And I know what you're saying, and I'm glad that they're both fighting, and they're both getting their reps in there and things along that sort. And we've seen, Tyler Shuck runs around, making plays. I was kind of apprehensive on them getting rid of Rattler, but he's proven to be better. He's been proven to be better than Spencer Rattler. And I really liked what Kent Ward did last week. I think that's a humongous boost to that Titans team to beat the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what the Chiefs' record is, that kid can say they
still legit.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Titans in the money line here. I think they win it on a game-winning field goal. I think the Titans are just like you said, they're scrapping along, and the Saints are a nice story as well. But give me the Titans at home. Mike McCoy gets another home win here. Cam Ward has himself a game. I know there's not a whole lot of fantasy relevant players on either one of these teams, but I like the Titans to cover. Just give me the money line here. This will be a fun game to watch on Red Zone again. I'm a little bit miffed at the NFL for putting Saturday games on when all these bowl games are on Saturday.
Yeah,
and especially when they put the Packers on Saturday, because I'd rather watch college football than watch some of these NFL teams. If we're being honest, I know this is an NFL show, but I love college football more.
We'll be talking about college football after the NFL stuff. So if anybody wants to stick around, we'll talk about the 4 matchups.
But they're not coinciding with the playoff games. I'm just saying that I like those mid-tier bowl games. So I'd rather watch some of that than some of these just like this could have been on Saturday and I would have skipped it. I'm just for the record.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and talk about it. So I think Tyler Shuck is okay. I think he's got a little bit of Drew Lock to him. That's the type of – you remember what Drew Lock did in Denver, his rookie year, right? He sat for a decent amount, won, I think, 5 games down the stretch, and they were like, all right, this is going to be our guy. And then they let him go out there the next year, and he kind of struggled a little bit. Tyler Shuck gives me a little Drew Lock vibes. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I think he makes some really good throws. Drew Lock made some really good throws. But for me, man, you have your weapons. You have, obviously Chris Olave has been great. But, yeah, I don't know if Tyler Shuck's the guy. He runs around a little bit too, but I'm just not sold on Shuck yet. I am sold on Chris Olave. Over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, top 5 in targets this year. He's been targeted at a crazy rate. Obviously, Kamara is basically an afterthought this year. I don't know what they're going to do with him next year. Juwan Johnson has been really good. I think he's 4th or 5th in receiving yards this year for tight ends. So really good stuff there. So I think Juwan Johnson's decent at the tight end slot. Obviously, Chris Olave, he's a wide receiver 1 this year. I think he's the wide receiver 7 or 6 right now. So love that for Olave. For Tennessee, I don't think Cam Ward is startable. I think he had a great game versus the Chiefs last week. Hopefully he continues to build on that these last two couple games. But yeah, man, I think Ward's just you gotta see what he gives you these last two games before you feel comfortable starting him. I think he's a great dynasty asset to have, obviously, because I do think they'll build around him, but you got to stay away from him for now. Tony Pollard, though, he's got back-to-back games of over 100 rushing yards. Doesn't really catch the ball that much, so you're hoping and praying that he gives you a touchdown. I think he's due for a touchdown. I think he goes over 1,000 yards in this game and gets a touchdown, so I do think Tony Pollard's worth a flex slot. But outside of that, I think Tony Pollard's the only guy outside of Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson that I would start in this game. But here's another one. This is a pretty important game. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence and these Jaguars, man. Trevor Lawrence has surprised a lot of people in the fantasy football playoffs. I know so many people that have just gotten massacred by Trevor Lawrence. 50-point game in the first round of the playoffs. 39-point game in the second week of the playoffs. He is just dropping dimes here late in the season. Obviously, the Colts, they just played the 49ers. Had a decent showing on offense in the first half, and then they just couldn't keep up with the Niners. The defense just crumbled. The Jaguars are minus 6.5-point favorites. I like the Colts, and I like Phillip Rivers. I love the story, but Jonathan Taylor seems to be run down a little bit. Just can't really get anything going with him that much. I like the Jaguars here minus 6.5. I do think they win by a touchdown, even though they are on the road. I know the Colts really do need to win this game. But, yeah, I like the Jaguars here to win out.
Dadgummit, we're not talking bad about our 44-year-old.
I love what he does under center, man. He's going out there, Alabama. John Gruden it out, man. I love it.
From the state of Alabama, folks. Our good buddy, Phillip Rivers, dadgummit, 12 kids, smart man getting back on that insurance. Insurance ain't cheap. He looked good. Physically he didn't. There was one play where he did a bootleg and thought he was going to run, and I was ready for that, but he didn't do it. Even Troy Aikman was chuckling about it. I'm going to take the Colts in an upset here. I'm going to take an upset. They've just been getting beat down. They've lost 5 in a row. Yep. Something in the air feels like this is a Colts win. Everything points to Jacksonville. Better quarterback. Etienne's a great player. They're really been okay without Travis Hunter this season. And, that first-round pick goes to the Browns, but it looks like it's going to be a late first now, obviously, because the Jaguars can basically – I think they could seal the deal on the division here if they win this game, from what I understand. I don't know if Houston can catch them because I think they'll still be – unless Houston wins. I don't know, man. It just – sometimes when you're capping games and stuff like that and everything just feels like it's all to the threshold of one side. There's teams that are desperate, and I love to bet on desperate teams. I mean, I thought the Colts would keep it within 4 yesterday. I did not expect Jimmy Garoppolo to throw 5 touchdowns like he did. I'm sorry, Brock Purdy to throw 5 touchdowns like he did, but he did. And he just absolutely decimated that Colts defense. But Phillip Rivers did a pretty good job on that 49ers defense. Yeah. I think that the Colts, I'm just calling for a little sprinkle on the money line on this one.
Yeah.
Give me the Colts. Give me the Colts in an upset. Upsets happen.
I wouldn't be super surprised, but I'll go ahead and talk about Trevor Lawrence. He was incredibly mid.
I'm going to step away for 1 second. You keep going.
Yeah, of course. Trevor Lawrence was incredibly mid about halfway. The first half of the season, he was incredibly mid. Here lately, the past 5-6 weeks, he has really been turning it on. He's a top 8 quarterback in fantasy right now, so I do think he's worth a start, especially after what he's done the past 2 weeks. He's gotten you to the fantasy football championship. If you have him on your team, don't quit on him now. He's going to take you to the promised land in this game, I think. Travis Etienne, he's going to go over 1,000 yards this year. I think he's absolutely worth a start as well. And then for receiving yards, you see who's leading the team. Parker Washington. Not a lot of people would have said that, especially with BTJ there, Travis Hunter. Jacoby Myers just came over. I think he's worth a start as well. But yeah, Parker Washington had a great game. He's been getting more and more snap percentages going his way. So I like Parker Washington for sure as a start. Obviously, Phillip Rivers is going to be starting at quarterback for the Colts. I do not think he's worth a start because he is completely reliant on passing yards. We do not like passing reliant quarterbacks unless they're Joe Burrow. So don't like that. I don't know if you'd start Riley Leonard either, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be rolling out with Phillip Rivers the rest of the year. Jonathan Taylor, absolutely worth a start. He gave you 13, 14 points this weekend. He's going to continue to give you decent performances. I don't know if he's going to give you 30-point games like he was earlier on in the season, but I do like that. Alec Pierce, I was really worried about Alec Pierce because Phillip Rivers' arm is not what it used to be, absolutely not. And I thought Josh Downs would be the guy that would be getting all the targets. Well, he is. But Alec Pierce is still he had a couple of touchdowns in the 49ers game. He leads this team again. He led them last year in receiving yards as well. I think he's worth a start, and I think Josh Downs is worth a flex play as well.
Nice work.
We'll go ahead and move on. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game, which the Bucs are done, right? They can't make the playoffs at 7-8, can they? That's so tough. They were my dark horse pick. They were my dark horse pick.
They can
for
get
the
in.
NFC. Oh, they can?
If they win this game and the Panthers lose, then it comes down to the last game of the season.
Oh, because of the division. Yeah,
that's right. Jeez. It's spicy NFC South. We love to see it. We love this division. It is the Weird Al Yankovic of divisions in this league. There's just a side of everything that we don't want to know, but we can't look away. It's our favorite point in courage. I don't know how else to put it. And it's clearly shown with this record, folks. At 7-8, the NFC South has given you everything you expected to give you and more. It's like somebody who buys a classic car or an old car, and it's a rust bucket, but they put the rims on it. You know, they got the rims are worth more than their life, basically, and they're cruising around in a 84 Caprice that's got enough rust in there and been passed around. But, God, those rims, they spins, dog. They spinning. They look good. So, nonetheless.
Well, I'm going to go with the Buccaneers minus 5.5. I don't believe in Quinn Ewers at all. He was my worst graded quarterback in the 2025 class by a significant margin. I had the guy from Houston, the scrambling quarterback over him, Donovan Jack. I'm not going to say his name because I don't remember exactly, but had him over Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers looked terrific. He had an okay day, but he threw 2 picks towards the end of the game. I think the Buccaneers defense isn't great, but I like the Buccaneers offense. I like it minus 5.5 here pretty easily for me.
I'll take the Dolphins into 5.5. They still got Waddle. They still got Achane. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're licking your chops a little bit after what happened last week with Cincinnati, they're going to want to play to win basically the southern part of Florida, as Florida has 3 football teams. But Bucky Irving is good. Sean Tucker is showing that he's going to take carries from him. In my opinion, he was one of my favorite prospects coming out of Syracuse. I thought he was grossly underdrafted by the NFL, but the Buccaneers taking him late. Excuse me. But now with Tua being QB3, and the Dolphins are saying that they're going to go with Mike McDaniel next year, I think you're going to see some of these guys saying, hey, look, they're going to bench the quarterback that he was with. Well, our jobs are on the line. And I think this is going to be a close game. I think that they're going to have problems covering Mike Evans, who just doesn't miss a step.
Yep.
But I do think that Miami's got enough firepower to keep it close. So I'll take 5.5 on a home dog in warm weather against another warm weather team because Baker has not been himself. He
hadn't had the best year. He started off really hot, and then he just kind of cooled off a little bit. So
yeah, they were talking MVP at one point. You know, I mean, just unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll go ahead and talk about it. I mean, Baker Mayfield's still on pace for about 3,600 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks. I mean, that's a decent year. I think he's worth a start as your QB2 against the Miami Dolphins defense. Rachaad White leading this team in rushing yards is crazy. I do think Bucky Irving gets the touches, enough touches to where he can be relevant. I like Mike Evans a lot because of the touchdown upside, and he just gets targets. Emeka Egbuka's worth probably a flex play. That's probably about it.
And I don't know. I'm going to push back on that. He's been, ever since Mike Evans, absolutely. I was not high on that guy, and I got him in a trade. I know I've gone over that multiple times. and sold high on him. And ever since Mike Evans and Godwin have been back, he's been kind of down. I mean, if you look, his receiving yards are only due to injury, right? He's a good player, but I just don't know if he's a start when he's wide receiver 3. He's wide receiver 3 on this team right now. That's just a pushback there. Watch and see. We'll come back to that after this game. Because he's falling down.
Right now he's getting about 60% snap share. Godwin's getting about 50 to 60. So him and Godwin are splitting. But I did a film breakdown on Emeka Egbuka and was a little underwhelmed. But I think this defense for the Dolphins isn't great. So I think Egbuka could give you something. I know he hasn't given you over 15 fantasy points since the New England game 7 weeks ago. But I think Emeka could push over 1,000 receiving yards this game. We'll see. But Achane, obviously a start. Waddle, I think, is a fringe starter as well. He led the team in receiving yards last weekend with Quinn Ewers, but he only 75 on 5 catches, I think. But I do like Waddle as a fringe starter. I think he can get you 10, 15 points. Outside of that, I don't like Darren Waller at all. So we'll go ahead and move on to this next game, which, I mean, this is 13 and a half. I whatever the line is, I'm going to go with the Patriots, man. The Jets are just a laughing stock. Brady Cook is legitimately horrible. I didn't even grade him because of how bad Missouri was last year with him under center. He looked horrible. Luther Burden couldn't even get 1,000 yards with that team, with how talented he was. Brady Cook was horrible, and he's not been good in the NFL either. I like New England easily minus 13.5. They had a pretty gritty win versus the Ravens, who were in must-win mode. The Patriots are not in must-win mode right now. I know they're fighting for the 1 seed, but they're going to have a playoff spot regardless. Yeah, minus 13.5 Patriots. I think the Jets might lose by 20.
I think I'm taking the points in a division game here. I heard what you said about Brady Cook. I saw him in the SEC. Wasn't a big believer. This could be a spot here where you see a team just absolutely put belt to ass previous week, and look at the line, like how much it jumped. And this is, again, where my scale's going the other way. 13.5 is a lot. New England could jump out there and score 14 points in the first 5 minutes of the football game. And I could be completely wrong, folks. None of my picks are guaranteed. But I think there is a little bit of semblance of pride with this Jets team. I think that Justin Fields is going to be released. I think that they might be, like I said, I know that you disagree, but I think they might be in the market for a Kyler Murray. I really do. It feels like it. And
that would be a Jets move. The Jets would keep Jetson with old Kyler because I don't think he is a good quarterback either, so we'll see.
But it just my overall senses on this say that it's so heavy one way, and division home dogs by that much. The Jets don't really have any major injuries. I think the Patriots might be a little overconfident. You know, this is like, again, we talked about it. Upsets happen. I wouldn't play an upset here, but I would think it could be like that Raiders-Broncos game where the Raiders scored a bunch of points at the end. Gets a backdoor cover here late in the game. I think the Patriots kind of rest in their laurels a little bit. I know it's like Mike Vrabel doesn't seem like that kind of guy. It just feels like that's what's going to happen, folks. So I'll take the Jets and the points.
Yeah. Well, the Patriots are undefeated on the road, so we'll see. But Drake May, I know people are calling for him to be an MVP candidate. I think it's Stafford easily, but we'll see. I like what Drake May's done this year. He is definitely worth a start with the rushing upside. Travion Henderson, he leads his team in rushing yards. I really like what he did 2 games ago, but hit his head pretty hard in this last game versus the Ravens. Basically put him out of the game. I don't know if he recovers from the concussion and is ready for this game. We'll see. He's got 5 days, obviously, until. But Travion, I think he's worth a start if he is 100% healthy. We'll see. Stephon Diggs, he has pissed me off all year because he hasn't gotten the splits. They don't utilize a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. The Patriots don't. They like to use their tight ends a lot. A lot of run-heavy offense here. But Diggs, he's only getting like 50, 60% snap share of the wide receivers. which is not typical for a wide receiver one. You're getting guys
So
like
let me stop you
Amon-Ra, who's
there.
getting 90 to 100% snap share. Diggs had a great game last week. This is an outlier for him over the past 5 weeks or so. He hasn't been that great outside of this last game, so I think he's a fringe guy as well. I'd start Waddle over him if you have the option to.
This is pretty pathetic that the Jets' leading wide receiver
I was about to say that.
has not played in over a month.
His last catch was in week 6.
God,
and he leads the team in receiving yards with less than.
This team is worse than the Titans, man. Like, it's worse.
Yes, absolutely.
It's worse. The Jets are the worst. I mean, they did the right thing by, letting go of Gardner and Williams and getting all that draft capital. Because I bet you Garrett Wilson might find his way out the door.
He needs to. I mean, he's so talented, man. And at some point, you just got to be tired of just being that good. Him and Olave both have been very talented, and they just.
We'll take Garrett Wilson out here in Arizona. I'm not a Cardinals fan, but let's bring him out here in Arizona to go with Harrison. So we'll have the Wilson brothers and Harrison. And just get yourself a quarterback.
No. You keep Garrett Wilson so far away from the Arizona Cardinals.
But why? They're going to get far away. They're going to get a quarterback, folks. It's happening.
Honestly, look, Jacoby Brissett, you got him under contract next year. Let him start halfway through and then put the rookie in if you ain't working out. But look at Fields, man. 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. He just does that. He's legitimately bad without statistically being bad. I knew that last year he was like that.
Kyler Murray for Garrett Wilson. That's the trade. Can you imagine the internet if Kyler Murray got traded for Garrett Wilson? Just think about it.
I can't imagine that.
Picking in the top 10, folks, they're going to get a quarterback in the draft. So you don't have – I mean, the Cardinals need an offensive lineman, but I'm just saying that would be.
I don't know what to say if that would be to happen.
Blockbuster.
I would be so angry.
Now I want it to happen just because you'd be in a fit of rage.
I'm also not starting Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall gets the touches, but this team is so legitimately bad that I don't think Breece Hall can have a productive game. Right. Even though I do like him, I just don't think he's explosive enough to be consistently good in fantasy anymore. I hope he goes somewhere else. Please give him to the – please. We tried to offer you a 3rd-round pick. You said no. Send him to the Chiefs, please. All right. Seattle going on the road playing the Carolina Panthers. Panthers need this game. Panthers need this game bad because I think if they win this game, they win the division. So, Seahawks, they need this for the 1 seed. So we'll see. They're minus 7-point favorites. I think the Panthers cover here. I think the Panthers might win this football game because Bryce Young has been looking pretty good. I think the Carolina Panthers, they're 5-2 at home. I think obviously Seahawks, they're really good on the road as well, but I think the Carolina Panthers clinch here, and I think Sam Darnold has one of his games where he just starts seeing ghosts.
Hey, listen, they got to travel all the way across the United States.
Yep.
From Seattle, Washington to Charlotte, North Carolina. Home of the nature boy. Woo! Ric Flair. Wheeling and dealing. Kiss stealing. I don't know. I'm not going to do all that. Nonetheless, I think the Panthers do win the game outright. I would do more Ric Flair impressions, but I have been recovering from a cold, which you can probably hear my voice, and my Hulk Hogan stuff back there wouldn't approve. But nonetheless, I do think that the Panthers can win this game. Yeah. I think Seattle this might be a step back here for them. I'm going to take the Panthers in an upset. I mean, tickets are actually, just looking at the little thing on the side there on your graphic, they're only $100. Worth it to go. Go see these two teams. I think the Panthers doing, can you imagine kind of rubbing it a little bit on Sam Darnold, who was a Panther, winning the division against them. And,
absolutely,
the Panthers are going to be hosting a playoff game, folks. They're going to be hosting the Rams or something. This might be a potential rematch in the playoffs if they win. They're going to host the highest seeded wild card team, which would be, it could be San Francisco, it could be Seattle, it could be the Rams, it could be any of those three. Somebody from the West is going to go out to Charlotte in January and freeze their ass off and really struggle against my boy, the Heisman Trophy winner, undersized national champion Bryce Young. But Bill O'Brien did such an injustice to his career at Alabama. But that's not what we're talking about. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
Yeah. So, Sam Darnold has had his moments where he looks really good. And then he also has his moments where he doesn't look very good. 13 picks. Yeah, he threw 4 of those in one game. He's, your 2-3 touchdown, 1 pick. He's throwing a pick every game pretty much. They run the ball more than anybody else, the Seahawks do. And they're not incredibly efficient at running the ball. The reason why they have to do that is to have Sam Darnold on the move and let him get in the flow of the play action offense. That is what the Kubiak system is all about. So, Sam Darnold, I do think he's worth a start. I would be a little hesitant, but I think he's worth being your QB2. Kenneth Walker, he had a breakout game for the first time in a long time last week. I don't know if Kenneth Walker's worth a start right now. I'm very scared, but I'm going to start him because of how he performed last week. I think they may give him a little bit more carries this week versus the Panthers. JSN, if you're not starting him, I don't know what you're doing. He's the wide receiver 1 for a reason. Bryce Young's probably worth a start, in my opinion. I think he's in the same boat as Sam Darnold, honestly. They're both giving you around the same sort of upside. Rico really slowed down heavily the past 3-4 weeks. He's worth a flex play only because of the touches that he gets, but Chuba Hubbard's been a little annoying there, so I'd probably stay away from the running attack for the Panthers. Ted McMillan, he's going to be over 1,000 yards as a rookie wide receiver. I like this a lot for Ted McMillan. I am going to start him in my flex spot. Tight ends, maybe you go A.J. Barner. I think A.J. Barner's an okay tight end here, but outside of that, you're staying away from Charbonnet, you're staying away from Chuba, and you're staying away from whoever they end up starting at the tight end position. They do like a trio of tight ends for the Panthers. They got the guy out of Notre Dame. They got a few other guys as well. Yeah, J.T. Sanders.
Got a touchdown last week.
Yeah. I was hoping for a lot from him this year, but they just couldn't rotate him. He can't block that well because he's undersized. I don't know if you've seen memes of this, but the John Cena Rock promo that they did,
match of a lifetime.
Yeah, and it's the Raiders versus the Giants. This is the game. This is the game everyone's been. This is the Tank Bowl. This is who is getting the number 1 overall draft pick. Who is getting it? Is it going to be the New York Giants, who shockingly are 2-13 right now with that roster? I know Malik Neighbors got hurt. The defensive line hasn't performed up to its expectations. But, I mean, they have Jackson Dart hasn't been horrible. I know he's gotten hurt and came out of the game at some really bad times. But I am just shocked. I know Cam Scadaboo got hurt as well, but 2-13 for this Giants team. They just feel a lot better than that. But the Raiders have no excuse. They are a terrible roster. Defensively, outside of Max Crosby, they're terrible. The offensive line is one of the worst I've seen in a long time. Genty is a bright spot. He's broken so many tackles, been tackled behind the line of scrimmage so many times. He has basically nothing. He can't do anything. And Brock Bowers has been good. Both of the wide receivers that they drafted haven't really hit that well. Thornton and Jack Besh. I loved Besh, but he just hasn't gotten a ton of opportunity. I don't know how this game's a pick 'em. I really have no idea.
Look at the line movement. The line started off with the Giants as 3-point favorites, and they're 1.5-point dogs.
I like the Giants here.
I like the Raiders here. First of all, yeah, I do, because I don't think Geno Smith is playing, right? Is he in?
He played last week, so I think he'll play this week.
I think that they got a little bit of rhythm, but the big matchup's going to be a massive mismatch for the Raiders, and that's the Giants. Pass rush is just out of this world.
Yep.
I feel like that they're going to move on from Pete Carroll. The Raiders have an exit plan set up for him, and that's a good play. He was there for one season. I think that the Raiders are going to win, though. I think that they're going to win this game because the Giants are just so broke down, man. Like, regardless of that pass rush, offensively, they don't scare anyone. I don't think that there's anybody on that team that the Raiders or anybody in the league, there's a reason that both these teams have 2 wins. They're both massively flawed. But I think the Raiders got a little bit better talent with G.T. and Bowers and that source as opposed to the Giants. I mean, the Giants need a tight end badly. I bet Njoku ends up there next season.
I
And
like
just
Sam
things where
Johnson a lot, man. I think he's been really good.
we'll see. There's really not a whole lot of analysis that I have on this, but I'm going to take the Raiders to win. I'll lay the 1.5. I'll take them at home. I mean, I think Max Crosby can get to Jackson Dart and create
Hopefully he
havoc
doesn't die
more.
when he hits him.
Yeah, So give me the Raiders to win and cover.
So I'll go ahead and talk about it. Geno Smith is legitimately a horror show this year. I know the offensive line has not helped him very much, but I mean, he's made some really terrible decisions this year. I do not think he's going to be the answer for them next year. Jackson Dart has played pretty good. I think he's got 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns as well this year, but he just has to stay on the field. He keeps leaving because of concussions, minor injuries, things like that. He has to go down and stop getting hit. He will not be in the NFL past his rookie contract if he continues to do this. It is what it is. I wouldn't start a single running back in this game outside of Genty. I think Genty is gonna try his best to get over 1,000 rushing yards this year. Really impressed with what he did last week. Wandale, I think Wandale's definitely worth a start. Jackson Dart, I would start as well. I know he got you negative points last week. I think Jackson Dart is worth a start. He's been great all year when he played. Obviously, Brian Burns 15 sack, Max Crosby 10 sacks, Bowers worth a start, Genty's worth a start, and it's just your main guys, right? Jackson Dart, Wandale, Bowers, Genty, I think are the only people you want to start here. Nobody else really intrigues me here. I wouldn't be scared of the Dart start though. Philadelphia and Buffalo. What a matchup. This probably could have been the thumbnail in all honesty over the 49ers and the Bears. But, I love me some Caleb Williams. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Eagles and the Bills. The Bills are minus 1.5 point favorites, which I think is the right call. I think the Bills are a better football team. I think their offense is better. I think their defense is slightly worse than the Eagles, but I think that offense just matches up better against this defense. Josh Allen didn't really have to do too much last week in the win, so I think he's probably cleaned up some injuries that we really didn't know about. So I like the Bills here. I think this is finally where they put it all together. In my opinion, they are the Super Bowl champions this year, so I like the Buffalo Bills to come in at home. Yeah, I think the Bills, they don't have to worry about the Grim Reaper Patrick Mahomes, because I feel like if Patrick Mahomes does not exist, I think Josh Allen has 2 rings. Honestly, they were that good when Patrick Mahomes beat them. I think Buffalo Bills, the fans are excited that the Chiefs aren't there. Joe Burrow is not there. And honestly, the path for the playoffs, the path to the Super Bowl for the AFC is probably easier than it's ever been over the past 5-6 seasons, because you don't have these certified killers like Joe Burrow, like Patrick Mahomes, these quarterbacks that just get it done over and over and over again. So,
Lamar Jackson, it's another one.
Lamar Jackson's another one, even though he does not scare me in the slightest in the playoffs. He just turns into a pumpkin in the playoffs.
Don't let Phillip Rivers get in there, y'all.
Dude, could you imagine Phillip Rivers going on a run in the playoffs? That would be amazing. Just under center, just 13 wagon, Delta set, But I do like the Bills here. I think they have better talent on the offensive side, at least up front. I like the rushing attack better with James Cook. But yeah, I mean, it's a close game, but I think Buffalo Bills pull ahead here.
I'm not certain what the weather is going to be in Buffalo, because that over-under is really tempting to take the over. I think that both these teams can actually – I know the Eagles have struggled to score this season, but I do think that this could be 27-24 covers that over. But if the weather's lousy, I would bet the under here. Game's really close. I'd like to see Buffalo pull this off at home. They were I think, like I said, Buffalo and Houston feels like my AFC Championship game. Maybe Jacksonville, but I like more of what Houston brings defensively. But the line did go down. It did get bet down. Philly got bet down from +3 all the way down to +1.5. That money line looks a little good there. Looks like
Yeah.
it could be even matchup. I think both teams have great running backs, great quarterbacks. They both got a wide. Well, AJ Brown's been going off,
He has
so
been.
he's been red hot lately. And the Bills just don't seem to have those elite playmakers offensively as far as wide receivers and things of that sort compared
They
to
just
this
get
team.
it done, though.
But they do win football games, and it is in Buffalo. So give me the Bills Mafia if I had to pick a side to cover the 1.5.
So we'll go ahead and talk. So Josh Allen, he doesn't miss football games. It just doesn't do that. I mean, I know he's questionable. He will play. I have no doubt about it. Josh Allen, he's a superhero. I mean, honestly, he gets hit a lot, and he still goes out there and he figures it out. Obviously, he's the QB1. He's been the QB1 or 2 the past 6 years now. I would start both of these quarterbacks, no problem. I would start both of these running backs, no problem. Obviously, James Cook a lot more over Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley the past 3 weeks, he didn't have a great start to the season, kind of teetered off a little bit, and then past 3 weeks, man, he's been cooking. So I like Cook, obviously, Barkley, both. These guys have just been amazing. Obviously, Saquon more so last year, but Cook has been great the past couple of years. A.J. Brown, I think, is worth a start, even though he scares me. I think the connection between him and Hurts is finally been figured out. And I think the only guy that's worth starting on this offense in terms of a receiver is Khalil Shakir. He's a fringe guy for me. I think he's a 10-point guy. I think he's a 10-point guy. And if you need consistent points just to win your matchup for the fantasy football championship, I think you could start a guy like that. But outside of that, I mean, you see all the injuries on the offensive line for the Eagles. Obviously, foot injury for Josh Allen. He will play. Do not worry about that. So, yeah, I like both the quarterbacks a lot in this matchup.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Just keep cruising right along.
Yeah, absolutely. So here was the thumbnail. I think this game's going to be fantastic. All right, wait, well, one sec. What's good? Would you play Kenneth Walker, Blake Corum, Emmanuel Wilson, or Woody Marks? Full PPR. Kenneth Walker is probably the best out of all those guys. Corum is really sneaky, depends on who your flex plays are. But Kenneth Walker, I would say comfortably you could start and feel good about it. I know Woody Marks is a little banged up. I know Justin here likes Emmanuel Wilson. I do too, but I don't think he's going to get enough touches to be extremely relevant outside of a touchdown. So I like probably Kenneth Walker the most out of all those guys, followed by Corum probably. But we'll go ahead and talk about Bears and San Fran. The Bears, man, have really surprised a lot of people with this season. Ben Johnson and the offense haven't been the best, but they show up in the fourth quarter and win games, and that's what they do. So the Bears, they're riding high. They're trying to get that 1 seed locked up, and they got to fight another team that's in really good shape right now. I thought the injuries would kill them, but the 49ers have still persevered, man. This was supposed to be kind of like a pseudo rebuilding year for them, but they're still sitting 11-4. Good football teams will find a way to win regardless of who is on the injured list. And because of how they've persevered, and they're in Santa Clara, -3. They're -3-point favorite at home. Man, this is tough. I like the Bears, and I'm a big Bears guy. But with how well the 49ers came out and just whooped that Colts ass, they did not stop, man. They just kept scoring. I don't know if they punted. I think they punted one time last night.
Did you know last week the Packers did not punt one time?
Interesting, because that Bears defense is really good. I'm gonna take the 49ers here. I don't like the 49ers. I don't. But I have to be realistic here. They looked really good on offense. It looks like the blocking's there. Kittle shouldn't be banged up. He should play. I know he had a little ankle injury, but I think they just sat him out because they were up 2 possessions the whole game. I think Kittle will play. We don't know if Rome plays. We don't know if Luther Burden's fully healthy. I think that they should both play, but even then, man, the 49ers offense is something to deal with, and I think there's going to be a high-scoring game, hence why the over-under is 52.5. Yeah, I think the 49ers win here, even though I do love Caleb Williams and I do love some Chicago Bears.
This is like, to me, these are the two NFL teams that I don't care for as a fan, obviously. Don't care for the Vikings either. But nonetheless, all that aside, I'm taking the 49ers at home -3. I don't think that they're going to have an answer for George Kittle. The Bears linebacking core has been just kind of hobbling around. The Packers bullied them for the majority of the game, just absolutely ran it down their throats with their backup running back. Christian McCaffrey is going to snap off on this team. I don't think it's close. I think they beat this team by 2 touchdowns. I think the Bears get a little bit of humility here, traveling to the West Coast. They got pushed around and pushed around and pushed around the line of scrimmage last week. Every Packer injury and everything that could have went wrong for them, and they had to have a miracle to win that time. The 49ers are looking to clinch. If the 49ers win out, they get the 1 seed. And there's a potential, if they don't lose another game, to where they'll host the Super Bowl, because it's in Santa Clara this year.
Yep.
But I would love to see the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I would love to see that. Because it'll go my way, like it always does when they make it there. Shanahan will do what he always does. He gets the courage to go up there and talk to a chick, and, she just throws the drink in his face every single time. But
nonetheless, I think Caleb Williams is worth a start versus the San Francisco defense. He's been playing really good football pretty much all year. He's had a couple of duds here and there, but he's the QB 10 in fantasy right now, so I do think he's worth a start. Obviously, Mac Jones is their leading passer still, which is kind of funny to me. But Brock Purdy, I think, is worth a start coming off that 5-touchdown performance. Christian McCaffrey, I don't know what you're doing if you're not starting him. DeAndre Swift is a fringe guy as well. I do expect this game to be heavily relied on the rushing attack by both teams. Jonathan Taylor got kept in check pretty much all game last night. But I do think Swift can get something done. I like the offensive line play a little bit more right now in the season for the Bears than I do the Colts, even though the Colts do name-wise have a better offensive line. DJ Moore being the leading receiver is a little crazy. I wouldn't start any of the Bears receivers right now because I think everybody's going to be coming back from injury. So I kind of feel similarly about the Packers wide receivers as I do the Bears, just because you don't know who's going to be getting the ball. I like Rome Odunze a lot, but I just need to see a little bit more consistency from him. The 49ers leading receiver and running back rusher is Christian McCaffrey.
Scroll down just a hair more.
Go ahead.
So if you look at the points for and the points against, the slight edge goes towards the 49ers there. Defensively, The Bears have been, they've been living off the turnover and feasting and capitalizing. But we're going to see it, that's really hard to sustain, So,
absolutely.
Should be a good game, though. I think that we're going to see something interesting here. But actually, I'm going to take that back. Like I said, I think the 49ers beat their ass. I think the 49ers beat their ass, and I think that the Bears have to come out and win that game on Week 18 against the Lions and try to get the division. Because if they don't, and the Packers beat the Vikings, if the Packers win the next 2 and the Bears lose the next 2, the Bears are a wild card team, and they'll be going to Carolina or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Or Tampa, however that plays out. So.
All right, well, here's our last game, NFL game. We'll talk briefly about the playoff games for college football.
Excuse me.
But the Rams, Monday night, they're going on the road to play the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons stink, man, but they've somehow won 6 games, man. They somehow win some games here and there. The Rams are 7.5-point favorites, even though they're on the road. I like the Rams here. Their offense has been cooking hard, even though they lost to the Seahawks. I think this offense is really hard to keep up with, and I think the Falcons are going to basically crumble under this. So I think the Rams win here by 10 points. But yeah, the Falcons could always burn me. Let me look at the last 5 games. So they are on a 2-game win streak. And, look at the points, man, they've been putting up. The lowest point total they've they've brought up in the past 5 weeks was 28 points. Yeah, we'll see. Kirk Cousins has led this team to 2 straight wins, but I do like the Rams here. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Rams.
I don't either. The Rams are an absolute wagon. They're trying to maintain and keep up with the Seahawks. Excuse me, y'all. 7.5, though, I think is the right number. I think that they can get to the Falcons' defense. I mean, I don't know if Kirk Cousins can do enough to keep those points in check. But they do have, he has found that Kyle Pitts is not the problem. And
thank goodness.
It's been the scheme. It's been the scheme, and it's been Arthur Smith's dumb butt and everybody else before, and having guys like Desmond Ridder out there. But nonetheless, give me the Rams to cover. Give me the Rams to cover. I know that the hook is just looking at me like I'm crazy, but I think the Falcons are still playing for a lot of pride to try to get to 8 wins. I just don't see a path for that. The Rams have a lot more to play for.
Absolutely.
Way better coached by the Rams. And Sean McVay is going to have them up. So give me the Rams. It's ironic because the NFC West is visiting the NFC South. We talked earlier about Seahawks going over there to Carolina. Now we got the Rams going just down the street in Atlanta. Seahawks lose, Rams win. Folks, it gets spicy. And the 49ers win. The NFC West is crazy good this year.
Yeah. So
look at the receiver. Who's leading the team for the Falcons for receiving yards? It's not Drake London.
It's close. Drake London's missed a few games, obviously, but they're both around the 800-yard mark. Obviously, Pitts hasn't missed any games, but we'll start with Stafford. I don't think Kirk Cousins or obviously Michael Penix. I wasn't a big Michael Penix guy, but Kirk Cousins, I don't think it's worth a start versus this defense. This defense can get scary at times, but Stafford is the MVP. Like I said, I don't like quarterbacks that offer you 0 rushing upside normally, but Stafford has thrown 40 touchdowns this year and leads the NFL in passing and passing touchdowns with only 5 picks, mind you. He's the MVP of the league despite something crazy happening over the next 2 weeks. Like Stafford here a lot. Kyron, he's going to get the touches. Even though Quorum has came on strong in the last 3 weeks, do think Kyron Williams gets 20 touches and he can get a touchdown and be all worth it. Puka, obviously, if you're not starting him, I don't know what you're doing. Wide receiver 2 right now. In some leagues, he's wide receiver 1 depending on the scoring settings. Bijan, he's almost their leading receiver, by the way, by like 60 yards. Bijan Robinson is really close to being both as well. He's got 770, I think, right now. So Bijan, definitely worth the start. Kyle Pitts over the last 3-4 weeks has been really good. Obviously had that big 3-touchdown performance a few weeks ago. And I do like Drake London as well as a start. Do not start any of the Rams tight ends. Don't start the Falcons quarterback as well. But yeah, that's all the NFL that we're going to be talking about. We'll go ahead and get into the first game of the college football playoff, the one that I find the least interesting in my opinion, which is kind of crazy. I think the Oregon Ducks are going to beat up on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I know that sounds a little crazy to me, but Oregon, they were destroying James Madison. They put their backups in, then kind of, James Madison got a little bit of momentum in the second half. I think the Ducks can really clean up here and go to the next round of the playoffs. What's the line right now? Plus 1.5 for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So I do like Oregon here.
There's no movement on that line since it's opened. So what that tells you is these teams are pretty much even. I will say this, they say that Oregon put in some of their backups, but they still gave up 400 yards to James Madison, like in 30-something points. And I think that that's going to be a tell here. Big Ten teams, Oregon's biggest win, who is it? They've got the one loss to Indiana at home. I just don't know. I like Dante Moore, and I know that they've got a prolific offense with Dan Lanning, but I think the Big 12 is going to be going balls to the wall here. I like Texas Tech to win this game.
Really? They've spent a lot of money on that roster, man.
Whoever, I think that Texas Tech is – Oregon's better coached and has the backing and all this and that. And there's a little bit – they're not a blue blood because you can't have 0 national championships and be considered a blue blood. You're not. You've never won one. You played for one and you lost to Cam Newton. But
Yeah,
other than
Marcus
that,
Mariota, man, that's crazy.
you always fall apart. I think that Texas Tech it's one of those games where one of the newbies shows up in an unfamiliar spot. They've got the horses, I think, to hang with the Ducks because the Ducks are a transfer team. They're not a developmental team.
Yep.
Bo Nix wasn't developed there. Dylan Gabriel, he's played quarterback 12 years for him. Like it's just they don't really develop guys. The last guy that they developed was Mariota, and it's been
Well, Herbert too.
Maybe Herbert, but other than that, like it's been kind of transfer you. So I'm going to take the Red Raiders here in an upset.
Interesting.
I think they advanced to the what is it? The Peach Bowl. Is it the Peach Bowl? I think it's the Peach Bowl. Is it semifinal?
I can. All right, so let's. Oh wow, that's crazy! I just saw the final for the University Southern Miss in Western Kentucky. I want to say Southern Miss was up the majority of that game, and they ended up losing. That's kind of crazy. But here's a game that I feel a lot better about. It is crazy to me. Miami, they were pretty not big underdogs versus Texas A&M, but they were not favored to win. Super big defensive heavy game. Obviously, their running back Miami was really starting to run it down the throats of the Aggies in the third, fourth quarter. Ended up getting a touchdown. It goes to overtime, right? The Hurricanes end up winning. Big win for them. A ton of momentum. But now they get to play the Buckeyes, reigning national champions. Let's see. They're 9.5-point favorites. I don't know, man. Does the Cinderella story continue with these Hurricanes? I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, right? Because Buckeyes, they're coming off a loss. They're coming off a loss in the Big Ten Championship. The Hurricanes coming off their best win of the season despite not having the best offense in that game. I think the Buckeyes win, but I think it's going to be closer than 9.5 points.
I'm taking the 9.5 for sure in this game. Defensively, Miami's good. They've got solid. Everybody wants to make the meme about Carson Beck looking like that cartoon character.
Timmer.
I can't think. Is it who it is? Like it's escaping.
Timmer.
But
yeah,
I do think that Miami has a very fair shot to win this football game.
Agreed.
You got Malachi Tony up there on the screen. What an electric football player that guy is.
Great touchdown by him. Put him up.
I think that this game is reminiscent of these teams that got the byes last year. They're better this year. I feel like that I think that there's a chance that Miami wins this football game. There's a little bit of a hangover when you win a national championship, and it's really hard to sustain that success. And I think with Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana, who we'll get to next, all three of the Big Ten teams really had cupcake schedules. Ohio State at least played Texas, to their credit, unlike the other two schools, for scheduling their OOC. And they were humming against Michigan. They got over that hump. And sometimes I just wonder if they're going to rest on their laurels with that. I think it's going to be really, really good. I'll take Miami in the 9.5. I will say that I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Well, we'll definitely see. We'll go ahead and get on to the next game. I know you're excited to talk about this one. The Crimson Tide. What a great win by them. They were down 17-0 against Oklahoma. Come back, win the game with multiple big-time turnovers, pick six, fumble recovery for a touchdown as well. I mean, really, the offense doesn't look great. It doesn't look great, but the defense is really winning y'all some football games. And y'all are going to have to look good on both sides of the ball, I think, here. I don't think Indiana are posers anymore. They've got multiple good wins on their schedule, with Ohio State winning the Big Ten Championship, beat Oregon in Eugene, Oregon. Look, I want the SEC to win a national championship so bad, but the idea of the Indiana Hoosiers, who have been so just lackluster over the past however long. Last year, they have a great season with Curtis Rourke. Get bounced. Indiana comes in, beats everybody that they've scheduled, even though a lot of the games weren't great. They weren't great opponents, but they did beat the teams they weren't supposed to beat in Oregon and Ohio State. They're the number one team in the country. I think rightfully so.
Sure.
They're 7-point favorites. That's just insane to me.
You want
I
to
feel
pull up
like Alabama should win this game. I want the Hoosiers to win just because Alabama's got their natty. They've got multiple natties. I would like the Hoosiers to win. I think they're my pick to win it all. I would like that to happen, even though I'd like a SEC champion. I'm really torn on this one, man. I don't even want to pick. I think Alabama should win this game, though, despite the offensive struggles.
You want to pull up the Hoosier schedule?
Sure.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look. All right. So we got Old Dominion. Okay. We got Kennesaw. We got Indiana State. Illinois.
It was top 10 at the time.
At the time, okay. Iowa.
Decent school.
Oregon.
On the road.
In the playoffs.
Top 5 team.
Yeah. I mean, we got Michigan State. Got UCLA. Maryland. Penn State. Wisconsin. Purdue. Ohio State.
So they've beaten at the time 3 top 10 teams.
Let's just stop for a second. Let's look at our Heisman Trophy winner. He had one 300-yard game this whole season. That's crazy. So,
but I mean, look at the margins of victory that they're winning against these teams. He didn't have to play the first half. A lot of these. I mean, he didn't play the second half in a lot of these games.
Yeah. I mean, it's true resolve. Let's look at Alabama's schedule. Let's take a look at their schedule. I like to just take a look here. And so we lost Florida State.
That's a tough one.
ULM.
Destroyed.
Common opponent in Wisconsin. Wow, Simpson had 382 yards in that game. Man.
The offenses are completely different now.
Wait a minute.
Y'all don't have a running attack at all.
Then
Indiana.
At Georgia. Okay. Vanderbilt. Almost made the playoff. Missouri. It's a lot of ranked teams I'm seeing here. Tennessee. South Carolina. LSU. Didn't get in the end zone. Lost to Oklahoma. Fair enough. Eastern Illinois don't count nobody. At Auburn, the scariest place. Now, Ty Simpson had his worst game there. 122 yards.
He didn't have a great game versus Eastern Illinois either, which is kind of surprising.
Rematch against Georgia. That was not good.
Yep.
Then they go on the road and beat a top 10 team.
It wasn't a
neutral site. It wasn't a neutral site in Oklahoma. It was on the road. 100,000 screen. It wasn't like the Big Ten championship at a neutral site. So, yeah, I think the resume shows one person took basic math and the other one took calculus. And I think the final exams are coming due, and everybody just says, oh my God, this kid just got 100 on his exams doing fractions. But the other kid was struggling to do calculus. I mean, he still did pretty well. But we're certain that the guy who can divide by 5 is just 10 times smarter than the calculus kid who's using letters and math. Ladies and gentlemen, give me Alabama to shut you up. Not because I'm an Alabama fan, but battle tested. Way better roster. Now, Alabama has absolutely struggled to run the ball. If you look there, they haven't had a 100-yard rusher since the Vanderbilt game. It is not part of their game. Hey, Fernando Mendoza, he won the Heisman. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Absolute elite. Just Indiana's so good, bro. That's all I've heard. I mean, they looked impressive in the Big Ten championship when that Ohio State kicker missed that kick. That was a great play by the Hoosiers. Missed a 30-yard field goal. Just absolutely put them away. Folks, I think that this is going to be a Crimson Tide win, and I think a Kurt Signetti reality check. Kalen DeBoer has coached in a national championship. This is Kirk Signetti in Indiana's first playoff game. I prayed for this. As the old line with the old meme with what's his name?
They didn't make the college football playoff last year?
What's his who?
Is this Signetti's first year?
I'm sorry. Let me back that up. It's not his first playoff game. That's correct. But they got the bye, and he's a Big Ten champ, so he's taking a step up.
Yep, absolutely.
But as a friend of mine used to say, or still says, I don't think Indiana's got the horses. Right? I don't think they've got the horses. They don't. They don't have the talent yet. Now, I think they'll get there. And their win over Ohio State was a big deal. Like, that's definitely the biggest win in the history of that franchise. In the history of that school, winning that game, winning the Big Ten was the highest mark. So, I think that this might be the game. And I'm on record, obviously. I'm on film saying this. I think Indiana gets their ass beat. I do. Everybody talks about how fundamentally sound Indiana is. When you play Indiana State, Kennesaw State, and Little Sisters of the Poor, you'll always look fundamentally sound. When you got the soft half of the Big Ten on your schedule, of course. But when you played, you should not have beat Penn State. Managed to.
Great throw at the end of the game, man.
Great throw at the end of the game, but it's the. Listen, man. I think that Alabama has struggled so much to get it right. But I think that there was a turning point in the end of this first half of that playoff game to where they've got their swagger back. And in fact, I'm going to even take it a step further and say Ryan Williams arrives this game. He's been gone the whole season. Also, LT Overton is going to play. He posted something on his Instagram. He'd been out the past 2 games. Jan Miller, all these players were hurt for the SEC championship, and it showed.
Yep.
And then they got a little bit healthy, and it showed again in the next week who they are. I think Alabama's at full strength, and I think that the Big Ten gets swept out of the first round of the playoff. I think Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, all out. And it's not me hating on the Big Ten. You know, Ohio State is the most of the 3, I think, to advance. I think 7. I'm taking the 7 points on this every day, 5 days on Sunday, all day. Just listen, folks. There's a schedule. There's a resume. I mean, you don't go into Georgia and beat Georgia, and Indiana goes into Oregon and compare it the same way. Indiana's had their 2 program-defining wins in one season. They're going to get reminded who they are. I cannot wait for New Year's Day. I was hoping for this. I've actually got an X thread with an Indiana fan who's chirped at me a few times. Randomly, like a few months, the thread's been going on, and now we get to meet. It's like Christmas, and I hope, honestly, that Oregon wins, so Alabama plays Oregon next for 2 reasons. First, Alabama's never played Indiana, and they've never played Oregon. So those are 2 matchups that I'd love to see. And Kalen DeBoer, do you know what his record is against Dan Lanning?
I would assume undefeated.
3-0. So give me Kalen DeBoer over Kurt Signetti beating up all these little schools. He's like a wannabe bully. Like, everybody's slobbing on Indiana too, and I can't get enough of it. Like, it's like, I don't know how to put it. It's almost like it's like when the McRib comes out and everybody's excited for it. And then everybody eats it and we're like, God damn, this really ain't what I thought it was going to be. Give me the quarter pounder instead. At least I know what I'm getting there. But that's it. I've gone on my full rant. I can't wait, folks. I don't even care about the NFL the next 2 weeks as much as I want this. I mean, the Rose Bowl. I wish it was the Fiesta Bowl. I'd go. Fiesta Bowl's 15 minutes from my house. I would go to that in a heartbeat. But that's the semifinal game. Fiesta Bowl is, but it's not. Alabama's not on that side of the bracket, unfortunately. But these 2 teams, the winner of this game will go.
Yeah, and you know this is interesting because I like Tulane as a school for sure. Ole Miss beat the hell out of Tulane. Beat the hell out of them. They were firing on all cylinders. Georgia obviously got the bye, so they're ready to go, rested and ready to go. Ole Miss's only loss is to Georgia. So we're definitely going to see how these teams match up. Obviously, Georgia minus 6.5-point favorites. I think Georgia gets it done, man. I think Ole Miss, the coaching change. I mean, they've looked good since the coaching change, obviously, but yeah, man, it was Tulane. I think Georgia has the talent. They have the better coach. They have the better defense. I like Georgia here minus 6.5. I hate it because I'd love to see a national championship in Mississippi, but yeah, Georgia. I think Georgia gets it done. I think they're the better football team.
I think that's not close. I think Georgia whips them. I'm going to take Kirby Smart here over Pete Golding.
Yep.
I did like what Pete Golding said the other day, though, about they asked him what's one thing that's changed since Lane Kiffin's gone, and he talked about that basketball hoop being gone. He says, we're not here to play basketball. But I'm going to go with Kirby Smart against a first-time head coach, coaching only in his, second football game.
Yep. He is undefeated, but he did play an American Conference team.
Listen, I don't think Pete Golding is going to be a good coach. I think Ole Miss is too prestigious of a university for him to get as his first job. I believe that with all my heart because he was a defensive coordinator at Alabama. So I know what he's capable of. I've also seen what Kirby Smart's done. Folks, right now, Georgia is the premier team in college football. I don't want to hear this Signetti bullshit. Give me the Dogs going to Arizona, and they're going to be facing Miami. I think it'll be Miami and Georgia down here, and Alabama and Oregon on this side. I'm sorry. Alabama and Texas Tech, and Miami and Georgia. That's how I see it. So it should be good stuff. Good times.
I will say Lacey, 21 touchdown. He leads all of college football in touchdowns. Hurt his shoulder against Tulane. I think he'll be ready to go for this game. It's just something to watch out for. Chambliss, I got to watch him live, man. He just doesn't make mistakes. He's checking it down when he needs to check it down. He's running when he doesn't see anything open, and he's making throws. And whenever he makes throws, he's pretty accurate, man. So Gunnar Stockton surprised the hell out of me, too. Obviously, he didn't have the best year, but was better than I thought he was going to be. So didn't think Gunnar Stockton was going to be obviously he's not an NFL guy, but he's good enough to where, he's going to lead him to a 12-1 record. So, but yeah, I think Georgia's going to get it done.
Bobby, what are your Christmas plans, buddy?
Well, I told you before the show, I did Christmas already last weekend because that's just what our family does or at least everybody else can do Christmases with whoever else. So we get everybody together. But yeah, I'm
Santa comes early. Santa, if you're on the nice list, Santa comes early to Mississippi, y'all. So
that's right.
And the Grinch is coming for Indiana, folks. I'm telling you right now, like I can't get off my high horse about it. I may have to eat crow, but I can't help it. I can't help it just because of the lack of, I don't want to say 5 stars, but Indiana's they just don't have, and they lost their best defensive player in that Big Ten championship, and that's going to hurt that team. If you can't get to the quarterback, listen, who do you think's got a better defense, Oklahoma or Indiana?
Oklahoma, statistically, is probably a better defense.
I'm just saying. We don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, y'all. Like, I have my homerisms, but even if I was to take the helmets off and look at these teams objectively based on talent, like, I think that Indiana's fundamentally sound. I think that this might be the game where in the first half, Alabama finally comes out hot. And we're going to see how Indiana responds. They may respond or they may collapse. It's not that I don't like Kurt Signetti. I think he's a unique personality, but I think he's way too cocky for what he hasn't accomplished yet. Right? You made the playoff last year. You went to Notre Dame, got pushed around. Your soft scheduling doesn't help your cause. It just doesn't. Ohio State scheduled Texas out of conference. Alabama went on the road, Granted, it was Florida State, but they still went on the road, you know, and they hosted Wisconsin. Big Ten on the or ACC on the road, Big Ten at home. You have played Kennesaw State, bro. Like you played Indiana State. That's just like you got the soft stick of the Big Ten this year. You got the Oregon win. That's impressive. You could do it once. It took a miracle for you to beat Ohio State because that field goal goes in and that game's a whole different ball game. It's a short kick. I think that's what happens to Indiana here. I think that they collapse. Alabama got another 5-star recruit that committed after that Oklahoma game. Like eventually your roster is just what it is.
Yep.
I don't think Indiana's got the horses. That's the biggest thing for me. Alabama's got All-Americans everywhere. Your best player got injured celebrating after the game, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks. And plus the time off, I think, hurts you a little bit, So we'll see. You got anything you want to promote before we get out of here and close this up?
No, man. I'm ready to go. I'm excited for these matchups. So yeah, I'm excited, man. More good football. Season's almost wrapping up, man.
So our the next show that we'll do, I'm looking at the calendar, will be Sunday the 4th. So
yep.
I might pop in and do something a little different, but we've done our preview show. We'll do it Sunday morning before kickoff. That'll be the last week of the regular season, so there won't be any fantasy implications. They haven't even set the schedule yet, but the NFL likes to put games, they like to sandwich them like almost evenly from the morning kickoff and then just have the premier Sunday night game for everything on the line, which might be Panthers and the Bucks, depending on how that plays out. And the NFC South to just close it off would just be some
that would be awesome.
Or
they always have great games. They just beat the hell out of each other, man.
It's like your redneck family that just beats the tar out of each other when they show up. And somebody's got to win the fights, I guess.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, have a Merry Christmas. Have a Happy New Year. Enjoy Indiana losing to Alabama on New Year's Day. That's my Christmas gift. Christmas came early in this household after the Oklahoma win. And any football thing you want to go your way? Anything that you just want as a fan to go your way?
The second on the 2nd of January, Mississippi State plays Wake Forest in the Mayo Bowl. So I'd like to see Mississippi State get a 6th win a bowl game. I think they can beat Wake Forest. So that's something that I'd really want to see since my Chiefs are out, and I don't think the Bears are going to beat the 49ers. So, yeah, that's what I'd want.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Roll Tide, y'all. We will see y'all January in the new year. Get ready for Sunday Night Football in the last week of the regular season, and get ready for Bobby's off-season content. And remember to subscribe, Justin Paul Sports on Winnable. Get my picks. 1-on-1 on my VIP picks. Today I had Western Kentucky. I had Southern Miss, but they did not win. But I did
collapse badly.
And Toledo covered nicely. So we will see y'all soon. Thank you so much.